Hello. I am here. Save the day. How's it going, guys? I'm back. I am here. Hope everybody's been day so far. I've been having a good day. I finished my ice cream before we get started. For some reason, I've had Pinky and the Brain stuck in my head. I don't know why. So, you guys a little bit of background as to what the story is. So this is a fanfic that I've been writing for 2-ish years now. Ever since the first season came out. Um, Actually, it was probably like halfway through 23 when I started writing it. But but no, I was like so fascinated with. I was so like not really fascinated, but I was fascinated, but not that's not the word I'm looking for. But but I really loved this character, so I was like, I really want to make a story with this character, so I did. And so the story is called The Woman You Always Had. Of course, you can see that over here on my my left, your right, on the right side of the screen. That is my fanfiction. This is posted on Wattpad under that fanfic underscore writer 10. That's where that name comes from. But I also have it posted on AO3 under my Twitch channel name, Beanie Bailey. So if you're on AO3, you can find me there. If you're on Wattpad, you can find me under that name right there. But the story will follow Tess's sister. I was like, wouldn't it be cool if Tess had a younger sister? And so I was like, all right, bet. And so I came up with a younger sister for her. Her name is Raylan, or Ray Servopoulos, because that is her last name apparently. And so essentially, you know what? The first chapter will kind of tell you who she is, so I'm not gonna say anything more. But that's her name is Raylan or Ray. Ray. She'll be called Ray throughout the story. And no, I did not name her after Star Wars. I didn't do it. I promise, I didn't do it. I used the name generator. If I want to be real, I used a name generator, and I really liked Ray with Tess's last name, so I was like, you know what? That's gonna be her name. So that's what her name is. And it wasn't until this past Sunday, because this past Sunday, the first episode of season 2 came out, and I was like, you know what? I need to get back into writing this thing so I can start writing for season 2 when all of the season is out. So that's what I'm ultimately gonna do. Maybe. I don't know. I probably shouldn't say I'm going to do something, because then I probably won't do it. Alright. That's all my ice cream. I probably shouldn't have ate ice cream before I started reading, could I? Need my vocal cords. Let me close my door real quick because it's very cold in here. Alright. So here I am. Now, would you guys want ambient or ambience? Would you guys want ambience music? I don't know if I can do ambience music or not on Twitch. So, uh, and also, if you guys have any questions or anything at all, feel free to ask them. I am here to answer questions. I like to answer questions. They are very, very nice. I really like to answer them. So, that's what we're ultimately gonna do. This fic is also still in progress. I only have written up to, uh, chapter 12, so, this is still a very much work in progress. Because I'm only, like, because this is an original character insert into the storyline, so a lot of the story is going to be from the show, but I do create scenes of my own with Ray, well, so it's not going to completely be a whole rewrite, because there is going to be scenes from the show in here as well. And also, I just want to clarify, I do not own The Last of Us. I don't own any characters or anything like that. This is just a story that I had come up with that's in the universe and set in that storyline, and it gives Joel a love interest, so, because we love Joel in this household. So, yeah, that's what we're gonna. Okay, I'm going to pull up my story really quick. Ah, that's there. I don't know. Anyway, again, if you have any questions or anything like that, why is this showing that it's 33% complete when stupid Wattpad? Whatever. Whatever, man. Now, I don't know how long this is gonna take me to read either, so we're just gonna play it by ear. Um, since I was having issues reading yesterday, we're gonna see how I read today. Alright. Clean. I gotta get ready. Get focused in. Alright. So, kinda gave you a little bit of backstory. Well, I didn't give you a backstory, I gave you her name. But her name's Ray. And the first chapter kind of talks about her and Tess a little bit, kind of give you an idea of what they were like and such like that. So, we're gonna go ahead and we shall get started. You guys ready? Let's get into it. Chapter 1. I was at the hospital when the outbreak first started. Me and my sister Tess had lived in Detroit our whole lives, so that should tell you what it was like to be there during the outbreak. It is a hellhole and always will be. We always had to be careful where we went because of the crime in this godforsaken city. Tess had always looked out for me though. She is my big sister after all. There's a 5-year age gap between the two of us, so you can imagine how much she holds that over my head. I was studying to be a doctor at the time of the outbreak, which was why I was at the hospital. I only had 2 more years and I would have been official. Fate, of course, had something else in mind. Me and my sister eventually got out of Detroit alive, surprisingly. We decided to go to the Boston QZ to escape from all the hordes that were out there. It was there that I was able to meet able to get a job working for the military as a doctor, despite me not having all of my education. They told me that I knew enough and would take what they could get. I'm so not reading this very well. Tess, of course, being Tess, got into a smuggling ring that flourished in the QZ. It was there we met two men, Joel and Tommy Miller. I found Joel to be quite handsome and attractive, but I knew better. When I wasn't working as a doctor, I would sometimes help Tess and Joel, them forming a partnership. Joel ended up living with us in our apartment during this time. I didn't mind it one bit, but Tess was surprised when I said it was okay. Mainly because I knew it was hard to find a place there in the QZ. I'm led to believe that Tess knew I had a crush, but she never said anything to me about it. She would give me a look when Joel was around, and I would have to look away. As time went on, mine and my sister's relationship with Joel became much stronger. He would protect us both at all costs. When I would come home, I would sometimes have scratches and bruises on me from patients that would fight me. Most of the time, Joel would already be home before me. When he would see these wounds, he normally wouldn't say a word. He would go get any medical supplies we had and patch me up. That's where the tension between the two of us started. I couldn't get over his gentle touch as he fixed me up. He was always so gentle with me. The tension would get so strong that you could easily cut it with a knife. It's like he wanted to make a move, but something was holding him back. My thoughts were that he had a stronger relationship with Tess than me because of what they did. I wasn't one to get in my sister's way, so I sort of kept my distance. Joel sure did make it hard for me to do that, though. One night, I was in the apartment alone and had gotten to thinking about everything, as you do sometimes when you're alone with your thoughts and nothing to distract you. I had a mental breakdown for the first time in a very long time. Of course, I had made the decision to turn to alcohol, so I couldn't feel the pain that was eating me alive. Joel ended up coming in and finding me laying on the bed with the bottle in my hand, sobbing into the pillow. "Ray?" he asked me as he sat down on the bed next to me, taking the bottle away. I looked up at him with red, puffy eyes. "Hey, I didn't hear you come in," I replied. "What's going on?" he asked me. "It's nothing. The bad memories have just caught up with me is all. Don't worry about me," I replied to him. "I am going to worry about you. Don't you want to talk about it? Do you want to talk about it?" I looked at him in a way I've never looked at him before, and I could see his expression grow soft. "Could you please just hold me, Joel?" I asked him. He nods to me immediately. "Sure. Anything for you?" he said as he laid down next to me, wrapping his strong arms around me. I wrapped my arm around his front and laid my head on his broad chest. I felt safe for the first time since the outbreak started. Who would have thought that just being in his arms would bring me this sense of security and safety? "Thank you," I say softly to him. "You're welcome. I know you work hard, so if you need anything, just let me know," he replied. I smiled softly and nodded in response. I closed my eyes and fell asleep pretty much instantly. It was from that point on that me and Joel's relationship would change. In my opinion, it was the best change that could have happened to me. 20 years since the outbreak happened, and it still feels like it just happened yesterday. Fedra hasn't even been paying me what they owe me. When I say anything to my boss about it, they say it's because ration cards now have to be limited. It's bullshit. Because of this, I haven't been able to feed myself properly. Sure, I could ask Joel and Tess for ration cards, but at the same time, I don't want to be a bother, or be one more thing they have to worry about. Tess has already noticed that I'm looking thinner than normal. She's asked me if I've been eating, and I would tell her the truth. I don't keep secrets from her. But then came the scolding. Luckily, Joel was out working during this time. Now he wouldn't. Now he would instead of scolding me, force food down my throat. I'm more surprised that she didn't say anything about me distancing myself from her and Joel. Then she mentioned it. "Why have you been distant with me and Joel? Did something happen?" she asked me. "No, nothing happened," I reply as I look away. I think you forget that I'm your sister, and I can tell when you're lying to me, she points out. I sigh and look back up at her. I've just felt lonely, I guess. I know that you and Joel have a thing going on, I spoke. So that's what this is about? She asked me. The relationship that he and I have is nothing romantic at all. Sure, we filled each other's needs, she continues. Nope, I'm going to stop you right there. I don't need to know the details, I say as I look back down. I get it. You made a move on him and I didn't. That's on me. He's rightfully your guy, I continue. Listen, I've always known how you felt about him, which is why I'm telling you we aren't romantically involved with each other, she says as I quickly look back up at her. I shouldn't be telling you this, but he likes you a lot too. Sometimes I don't think he can shut up about you, she continues. Really? He feels the same way? I ask as I let out a breath. He really does, Ray. I approve, but if he breaks your heart, we'll have words, she tells me with a soft chuckle. I chuckle myself and nod. Thank you, Tess. You're welcome. I'll be gone for a while. I'm going to get the car battery, she says as she walks to the door. Hopefully he doesn't screw us this time, I tell her. Maybe not. Just relax since you have the day off for once. You work too hard, she says, walking out the door. I stifle a laugh as I do as I'm told. I pretty much just spent the day catching up on sleep. And yes, I keep a gun next to my bed, just in case. I woke up to a door closing and hearing boots walk towards me. I opened my eyes to see it was only Joel. I watched him move the little dresser and pull out some things out of the floor. I sat up slowly and rubbed the tiredness out of my eyes. Joel? I ask him as he looks up at me. Hey, you caught up? He asked, referring to my sleep. Not really, no. I would have to sleep for days, I say jokingly as he takes what he took out over to the table with me following behind him. What's all of this? I ask. Still haven't heard back from Tommy, he says as he starts looking at a map, also taking a shot of alcohol. Still radio silence? You should have heard back from him by now, I say as I sit next to him. I know. Just why I'm going to go find him, he says as he takes another shot. If you think for a second that you're going alone, you're not. Me and Tess will be going with you. End of story, I say with determination. What about your job with Phaedra? He asks me. Believe me, I'm more than ready to get out of this hellhole. I'm sure there are other places that could use a doctor, I say as my beeper goes off. Shit, I say as I look at it. They're calling me in. I have to go, I say, standing on my feet. Do you really have to go now? He asks me, looking at me with sad eyes. I sigh and nod. I'm sorry, Joel. I don't know when I'll be back, so you and Tess don't wait up for me, I say as I go behind him and kiss his cheek lovingly. Go easy on the alcohol, okay? I tell him before leaving to head to the medical center. I didn't get back to the apartment until the next morning. I entered the apartment to see Tess making coffee and Joel walking into the kitchen. How's work, Ray? She asked me, not even turning around. Same old, I reply as I sit down at the table with Joel. Tess then brought us both over some coffee. Two of us look up to see Tess's beaten up face. Me and Joel were about to jump up when Tess began to explain. I got jumped by a couple of guys, she says. What guys? Joel asked as I got up to get some alcohol to treat her black eye. Just a couple of teenagers, said some shit probably shouldn't have, Tess replies. As I start to treat her eye. Joel, of course, was giving her a look. Come on, you know these guys were born after the outbreak. Never learned how to argue. They just start swinging. Fucking 19-year-old piece of shit. Tess continues, taking a sip of the coffee she made me. It's a miracle you're still alive. I can also tell that you're feeding us bullshit, I say to her. It's a miracle any of us are alive, Ray. I'm fine. Now sit down, turn off doctor mode for a minute, she tells me as I huff and do as she says. Those aren't new, Joel says as he examines her face. No, I was in Phaedra lockup all day. Anyway, it doesn't matter, Tess explains. I huff as I take my coffee and drink it. there's something I need to tell the both of you, but I need you both to take a breath, Tess says. What? Joel asks as he gives her a worried look. Joel? What? Damn it. Joel? Joel? Tess starts. What? Joel repeats. I called it, didn't I, Tess? I asked her as Joel looks at me and then back to her. Tess sighs. The guys who jumped me were with Robert. He sold our battery to someone else, Tess tells us. Joel looks away frustrated as I take in a deep breath and look down at my hands. Nothing's lost. Shit like this is gonna happen. Now we just have to shake it off and we go get our cards back or the battery, Tess says, trying to comfort him. I need the battery, Tess, he says as he gets up from the table. Truck's no good without one, and if I don't get to Tommy soon, he's gonna die out there, Joel says as he goes to the bedroom. Okay, fuck it. We get our money back and the battery, Tess says as she got up after him. But Joel, listen. Robert is terrified of you, Tess tells him. Which means if you march out of here all Clint Eastwood, he's gonna find out and bolt, I say as I now leaned against the doorframe, sipping on my coffee. She's right, so I need you to take a breath, Tess says. There was silence for a moment before Joel spoke up. Who'd he sell it to? Joel asks. Don't know, Tess replies. Where is he? Joel asks. Don't know. Yet. But we're gonna find out quietly, understand? Tess replies as Joel nods. Now, I promised Robert you wouldn't hurt him, but I would very much like for you to hurt him. So let's go hunt that motherfucker down and get our battery and our truck, and then we'll go find Tommy. Alright? Tess says as Joel once again nods. Alright, Joel spoke as he looks at me. I gave him a soft smile and a nod of reassurance. Hi, Pookie! You got here right at the end of chapter 1. Hi! Pookie, you're not ready for the new chapters I wrote for you. You're not ready for them. Which, that's like several chapters. That's like 10 chapters away. Or actually less than 10 chapters. Because I wrote 2 more chapters. Currently working on the 13th chapter. There's 12. Well, if you stay long enough, I'll be reading them to you eventually. Alright. Chapter 2. This is actually kind of good because this gives you a recap. I'll throw up the book. Alright. Chapter 2. As I watched the two pack up some gear, I began to pack myself. Of course, Tess being Tess, she stops me from what I'm doing. You're not going with us, it's too dangerous, she tells me. Like hell I am. I want to get out of here just as much as the two of you do, I told her. I know you do, but I can't protect you out there, she retorts. I could take care of myself, Tess, I argue. I'm not arguing with you, she says as she turns to Joel. Could you talk some sense into her, please? I'll wait outside, Tess says as she walks out into the hallway. I huff as I look at Joel. I'm coming with you, I tell him. No, you're not. He's right. You'll be safer here, he tells me as he walks up to me. Why can't I? I've proven to you and her that I can take care of myself, I say as I look up at him. Because if something happens to you, we wouldn't be able to live with ourselves, he tells me. I stood there looking into his eyes. His eyes always got me every time. You can't ever say no to Joel's eyes. Okay, so what do I need to do? I ask him. Just stay here. Don't go in if they call you. If we find a way out, we'll come get you. Say you feel like you've caught something and don't feel well. He speaks. I nod. Alright. Just come back in one piece. Both of you, I reply. He nods as he places one of his hands on my cheek. I promise, he says as he places a soft kiss to my forehead. I smile softly as the kiss sent butterflies into my stomach. He really did have some sort of feeling towards me. It was then that the two left me in the apartment all alone, anticipating their return. A few hours go by and I'm pacing around the apartment nervously. I was starting to question if they were going to come back until they came into the apartment with a girl? Tess, thank God, I say as her and Joel pull me out into the hallway, leaving the girl inside. Give us a minute, alright? She tells the girl as she closes the door on her. What the fuck? I hear the girl say, the voice sounding familiar to me. What the hell is going on? I ask as I look to both Tess and Joel. I'll tell you later, Tess replies to me. So what's the plan? Joel asks. Well, there's not a lot of options. There's a short way or the long way, Tess says. Short way... The short way is pretty much done in, last I checked. I tell the two of them. That leaves the long way. Things look bad. We'll come up with something. We'll have to drop the head to Bill and Frank, stock up on anything they need, Joel says. Can you two tell me now why we're coming up with a plan? What's going on? I asked the two of them desperately. Robert was selling our battery to the Fireflies. Come to find out, the battery was bad anyway. There was a gunfight. Robert and his men lost. Tess begins to explain. Then we found Marlene. She had been shot and her right hand didn't have an ear. Joel continues. That's when we met that girl that's in our apartment, Tess finishes. Okay, what are we doing with her? I ask. We have to smuggle her outside the wall and get her to the Fireflies at the Capitol, Joel replies. Okay, I understand. So we need to go check the tunnels to make sure they're clear before we head out. I speak. This is what I love about you, sis. You catch on quick, Tess says. We leave after dark. We'll stay with the girl, I ask. Joel will, Tess replies. Wait, why do I have to? Joel starts, but me and Tess had already started walking. Tess! Ray! We heard Joel shout. I chuckle as I look at my sister. I've always wanted to do that, I say as she chuckles with me. It was starting to get dark when we arrived back at the apartment. Luckily, one of the tunnels we used was clear. This should be easy since I know the patrols. We enter the apartment and I look to see the girl for the first time. It was Ellie. I knew her from Fedra Military School. I was a doctor there for a few years until they needed me more in the field with the soldiers. Ellie? I ask in shock. Holy shit, Dr. Raylan? Ellie asked, just as shocked. You two know each other? Joel asked, surprised as the two of us hug each other. Fedra Military School. She was a consistent patient of mine, I say as I chuckle at some of the memories. I thought I'd never see you again, Doc, Ellie tells me. Feelings mutual, kiddo, I reply as I look at Joel. The spot under Lancaster looks good, I tell him. Got a jacket in your pack? Tess asks Ellie. Yeah? Okay, get it. It's time to go, Tess says. Ellie looks at me and I nod to her to say it's okay. Tess grabs mine and Joel's jackets and tosses them to us. I hastily put mine on, as does Joel. As we made our way to the tunnel, Joel pulls me back as Tess and Ellie were ahead of us. Who is she? He asked me quietly. I'm not really sure myself. She was left at the school when she was just a baby. Not much was known about her. I will say she is a fighter, though. I believe she can hold her own if she has to, I reply to him. He nods. Are you alright? I'm alright, Joel. I promise. Let's worry about getting out of here, okay? I say as I look up at him. He nods to me and I nod back. We made it through the tunnel and made our way up and out on the other side of the wall. As we all got pulled up, I watched as Ellie stood up and looked around. Holy shit, I'm outside, she says as Tess pulls her back down. Jesus Christ, Tess says. Oh shit, Ellie says as she gets down and the spotlight goes over us. Me and Joel look at each other and I let out a breath. Okay, we're gonna take the left edge around the buffer zone. Stay close and you follow my lead. Ray will be behind you, Tess tells her. Yeah, of course, Ellie says. Let's go, I say as Tess leads the way. I go get behind Ellie and look at Joel. He nods and I follow, crawling under the bus after Ellie. We did our best to stay low. A truck was coming past with a spotlight, and Joel pulled me back so I wouldn't be spotted. His arm wrapped around my waist, and it sent chills down my spine. Once the truck was gone, we continued, and I slowly left Joel's warm embrace. We then made our way through a pipe, but stopped when we heard a helicopter overhead. I could feel Joel behind me as I reached out my hand to him. I usually have to do that in certain situations, especially when I get nervous and my anxiety skyrockets. I immediately calmed down when I felt his hand in mine. That is supposed to be mine. Him holding it tightly. After the helicopter passed, Joel slowly let go of my hand as we continued through the pipe. Luckily, it was thundering and lightning, rain pouring down. No one would really be able to hear us, we thought. We thought we were in the clear until a soldier that was taking a piss spotted us. What the hell? He says as he turns to us. Hey, don't move, he says as he fumbles to zip up his pants. Joel looks around to try to find a way out, but to no avail. Don't move, the soldier shouts. The soldier then lifts up his visor. You gotta be shitting me, he speaks. Okay, let's talk this out, Joel spoke. Turn around, the soldier says. Hold on, Joel starts. Get on your fucking knees! Get on your fucking knees! The soldier says sternly. Now hold on, Joel tries to speak again. What did I fucking tell you, man? The soldier asks. I said stay the fuck home. Get on your knees, the soldier says. Just get on your knees. Just get on your knees, Tess says as she does so. Listen, you let us do this run, we'll split the cards with you. Tess tries to negotiate as the rest of us get on our knees. Oh, will you? The soldier asks. Yeah, Tess says. I'm so blessed. Hands on your head. Eyes forward, the soldier says. Hands on your head, he shouts as we do so. He then puts a scanner up to Tess's neck. Really, man? Tess asks. Yep, we're doing this by the book, the soldier says. Jesus Christ, Tess says as her scan finishes. Alright, what about 3/4? Tess asks. Unauthorized exit. They'll hang you for that, the soldier says. Fine, everything off of this run and half off on all the pills, Joel spoke up. Half off? All off, he says as Joel's scan finishes and moves to Ellie. Risk my job for half off, out of your fucking mind, he says as Ellie screams and stabs the guy in the leg with her knife she had on her. Ellie! I say as I stop her from going further. Ellie, what the... I began to say. Fucking bitch, the soldier says as he groans in pain. Fuck, he shouts as he pulls out the knife. Joel stood in the way of me and Ellie. Get out of the fucking way, the soldier shouts at him. Whoa, we can fix this, Joel says as he looks back at me and Ellie and then back to the soldier. Move, the soldier says, but when Joel doesn't, he repeats himself. Move! It then was like something snaps inside Joel, and he charges at the soldier, tackling him to the ground. Joel straddles him and begins to push him profusely. Punch him profusely. All I could do is just stand there and watch. Me and Ellie were frozen into place. Once Joel was finished, he looks back at me and I immediately go to him and take him into my arms. He gladly accepts my gesture and lets out a breath. I then look over to see Tess had picked up the scanner and it was glowing red. Shit, I whisper softly. No, I'm not sick, Ellie says. Joel? Ray! Joel! Tess shouts to us. I'm not sick, Ellie shouts back as she rolls up her sleeve. Look, this is 3 weeks old, she says as she shows her arm to Tess. Nobody lasts more than a day, Ellie says as Tess looks at her arm. Does this look a day old to you? You would have killed me, Ellie finishes saying. I should fucking kill you. Tess yells at her as I quickly move myself away from Joel and in front of Ellie. You'll have to go through me first, I yell back at Tess. She's just a kid. I speak. Tess calms down some as I stood my ground. When did this happen? Tess asks Ellie. It doesn't matter. You have to trust me. They're gonna catch us if we don't run, Ellie says as we begin to hear sirens. I look over at Joel and move over to him. Joel, we gotta move. Come on, I say as I take his hand in mine. Joel nods to me as he picks up the soldier's rifle and taking my hand back into his. We all escaped through the fence and ran until we were safe in a place away from the QZ. Damn! How am I doing? How am I doing so far, Pookie? I've messed up so many times. Honestly, me too. Alright. Chapter 3. It does! That's what I hope it does anyway. I hope it sparks imagination. I think that's my problem, is that I'm wearing headphones so I'm not hearing my actual voice. Alright. It was starting to become night when we finally found a safe place to rest up. To say that today was an awful day is an understatement. We started the day with bad news, and now we're out in the wild smuggling a girl to the Fireflies. Worst part is that I know the girl personally. I had used to be a traveling doctor for Fedra many years ago. It was a good thing at the time since we had already met Joel and his brother Tommy. One of my jobs was working at the Fedra military school, and that's where I met Ellie. Man, this girl would always get herself into trouble. Then again, it was always other kids that would push her. She would finish the fight, and I respected her for that. When I was told that I couldn't travel anymore due to infected, it broke my heart. When my orders were changed, I thought I'd never see Ellie again. Boy, was I wrong. I'll take first watch. You three need to rest, I say as I ready my pistol. Are you sure? Tess asks me. I know good and well that I'm more rested than the two of you combined, so yes, I'm sure. You know I won't really sleep out here anyway, I reply to her as Joel gives me a worried look. Tess nods as Joel comes over to me and I see Ellie making her a place to sleep. At least take the rifle. It'll make me feel better if you did, he tells me, softly as I nod, taking the rifle from him and slinging it over my shoulder. Let me take a look at your knuckles, I say as I take hold of his hands gently. Surprisingly, he actually lets me. There's just a bit bruised is all, nothing major, I say as I look up at him. He seemed distracted, and I place my hand on his face. First to Joel, everything okay up there? I say with a soft laugh. He looks at me with eyes that looked like they were lost. Yeah, I'm okay, he tells me. It seems to me that you're in shock, and I can't really blame you. Never seen you do anything like that before, I tell him. I did what I wanted to do to that officer that shot. Joel starts, but I stop him. Oh, hey, Alucard! I understand, Joel. You don't have to tell me. I know that subject upsets you, so don't upset yourself. Just go get some rest. You're going to need it, I say as I kiss his cheek softly. Joel nods as he kisses my forehead in return before making a place next to Tess for him to sleep. After about an hour, I knew Tess and Joel was asleep soundly. I look over to see that Ellie was having trouble a bit. I make my way over to her as I sit next to her. Can't sleep, huh? I ask her. Nope, she replies as she sits up, sitting next to me. So that's your sister that you told me so much about? She asked me. Yep, that's Tess, I reply. You're right. She is pretty badass. I chuckle softly. She certainly is, I say as I look over at her. Can I see your arm? She nods slowly as she lifts up her sleeve, revealing her bite mark. You're right. There is no infection there at all. That's one nasty scar, though, I say to her. Yeah, it was a rough but fun night that night, she says in a tone that let me know she really didn't want to talk about it. I nod and wrap my arm around her shoulders. It'll all be okay, kiddo. We'll get you to the Fireflies, and they'll help you save the world. You really think they can make a cure? I do think it's possible, yes. She nods as she lays her head on my shoulder. I really have missed you, Doc. I'm really the only person I could talk to about stuff, she admits to me. I smile softly. I'm honored that you feel that way, I say as I get a chuckle out of her. I've missed talking to you too. I've always had this question that I wanted to ask you, she says. Alright, ask away, I reply. What was school like for you? Oh boy, have you opened up a can of worms, I say as we both laugh softly. In my experience, it was ruthless. There was always a popularity contest, I begin to explain. Were you popular? Nope. Not one bit, I admit. Really? She is shocked. I laugh softly. Really? I was always one of those students that did as they were told and never really complained. My best subjects were science and math, with a dash of English. Oh, wow. Well, I guess that makes sense since you're a doctor and all. English is what I wasn't expecting, though. Oh, yeah, I was okay at it. I did my best when I was writing research papers. I loved to do those. It felt like I was teaching myself. I hear Ellie chuckle a bit. I guess it's good that you enjoy that with your job and all. I bet you had to do a lot of research back then, huh? She speaks. I did, yeah. Since I was still in school when the outbreak happened. I had 2 years left and I would have been official. Fredra didn't really care about schooling at the start, so they considered me official anyway, I explain. Guess Fredra didn't really care, she says with a chuckle as she stifles a yawn. I chuckle and smile softly. Get some rest, kiddo. We've got a big day tomorrow. She nods as she then lays down and closes her eyes. I stood from my place and look over to see Tess and Joel at least sleeping. After an hour or two, I felt a hand on my shoulder. I looked back to see that it was only Joel. You didn't sleep long, I say as I turn to him. I couldn't really sleep, he admits. You alright? Need me to relieve you? No, I'm okay. Not really tired. I'm so used to working nights, I guess. I say with a chuckle as he lets out one as well. Yeah, I suppose you are, he says as we look at each other for a moment. I'm sorry you had to see me, he begins. You don't have to apologize. I understand, I say as I look at him. Your emotions overpowered you. I get it. He lets out a soft sigh. I wasn't going to let you get hurt. I couldn't let you get hurt. I know, I say as I place my hand on his face, him leaning into my touch. That's how I know that I can always rely on you. I know that you'll always have my back, I tell him as I smile softly up at him. You should at least try to get some rest, Ray. I can keep watch, he says as he tries to take the rifle from me and I let him. Alright, I guess you're right, I say as I look at him. Be careful, yeah? He nods to me and I nod back as I kiss his cheek softly before going next to Tess. I took Joel's place as it was still there. After a few minutes of me laying there, I felt something being laid over me. I peeked my eyes open to see that it was Joel putting his jacket over me. I guess he noticed that I was shivering pretty bad. The next morning, I had woken up before Ellie, but Tess and Joel sat a few feet away from her, staring at her. Quit staring, it's rude, I tell the two of them as I stood up. They both immediately looked at me when I called them out. I chuckle and move to sit next to Joel and hand him his jacket. Did you sleep okay? Joel asked me. As well as you can on a flat ground, I reply with a chuckle. The three of us then looked at Ellie as we see her starting to wake up. We watched as she sat up and then turned to see us, a bit startled to see us staring at her. Morning, he says to us. She goes to move, but Joel points the rifle at her. I put my hand on top of his and had him lower it. Morning, Ellie, I reply to her since no one else would. Ellie then moves to sit back down as she stares at the three of us. Do I look like I'm infected? Ellie asks us. More so Joel than Tess, though, since I had already examined her arm. I knew that they still needed to process what they were seeing. Show us your arm, Joel says to Ellie. I watch as Ellie rolls up her sleeve and shows them the bite mark that is now a scar. Yeah, it's not getting any worse, is it? Ellie asks them. I look at Tess and Joel as they look at each other, unsure. The two of them look at me. If we're out in the open city, why aren't we getting swarmed? Ellie asks us. Joel then turns to look at Ellie. Don't worry about that. Well, I'm gonna, Ellie retorts. What was Marlene doing with an infected kid? Tess asks me and Joel looking at her. Oh, Tess asks me and Joel look at her. I'm not infected, Ellie repeats herself. She's right, Tess. I examined the bite up close and there is no sign of infection. All it is a scar. I tell her and Joel look back at me. I tell her as her and Joel look back at me. She found me after I was bitten, Ellie says as we all now look back at her. And she didn't shoot you? Joel asks. Clearly not, Ellie retorts. She locked me up and had her guys test me every day to see if I was getting sick, she explains. Test you how? Tess asks. I have to pee, Ellie states. Test you how? Tess asks again. They made me count to 10 and hold out my hand and then keep it steady. But you know, I think what really impressed them was the fact that I didn't turn into a fucking monster. Now, can I please? She asked as she stood to her feet as well as Joel. His guard was way up. No wonder he didn't get much sleep. Ellie held up her hands. Fine, Tess says. Back there you can find a spot, she continues as she was referring to a room in the back. Ellie puts down her hands and starts to walk to the back room. In here, Tess says as she stood and tossed her an old magazine. Tear out a few pages. Tess continues to say. There's not gonna be anything bad in here? Ellie asks as she continues. Just you, Joel retorts. Oh, funny, Ellie retorts back. Me, of course, just chuckle at the small spat between the two. Tess says as we all look back down. Tess says as we all sat back down and calmed down. I noticed that Joel was looking at his hand and I softly took it. Broken? Tess asks. It's likely just a hairline fracture. It'll heal fast, I reply as I look up to see a slight smile on Joel's face. Tess sighs and rubs her face before looking back at us. She made it through the fucking night, she says. Doesn't matter. It's gonna happen sooner or later, alright? Still close to the wall. We sneak her back into the QZ. We find a different way to get the battery. Joel continues. This is our best shot, Tess argues. She's right, Joel. We won't get another opportunity like this. I agree, as he sighs. We take her back to the QZ, someone will notice her arm, they're gonna scan her, and they'll kill her. You two don't know her as well as I do, but I'm not gonna let that happen to her, I say confidently, as Joel looks at me with disapproving eyes. Well, better them than us, Joel argues. You need to stop talking about this kid like she's got some kind of life in front of her. Joel continues, as we then hear Ellie walk back into the room. His comment didn't sit well with me, but I can't really blame him either. Ellie tosses the magazine back to Tess and sits back down on the ground. Tess rummages in her bag and took out some jerky. Hungry? Tess asked Ellie. You can share some of ours. Thanks. Marlene sent me with my own, Ellie replies as she takes a sandwich out of her bag. Tess passes me some Passes some jerky to Joel, and he gave a piece to me. The tension in the air was so thick you could cut it with a butter knife. I felt like I was being choked. That chicken? Tess asked Ellie. Yeah, Marlene said they get it from smugglers. Guess not you guys, Ellie says, as I couldn't help but chuckle at the comment. Damn, guys. What are we thinking? Any questions, comments, concerns? Which, Pookie, you've heard these chapters before. Don't worry, I'm drinking water. I'm being good. Alright. Chapter 4! Here we go! Alright. Tess then puts away her jerky before standing up, going over to Ellie. Hey, Joel says standing up with her and trying to stop her, but to no avail. Tess held out her arm to hold Joel back. Why are you so important to Marlene? And don't lie to me or we'll take you back, she asks Ellie. You take me back, you don't get your battery, Ellie counters. Tess scoffs. You heard that? Then you must have heard that he wants to shoot you. And watches Ellie and Joel have an intense stare before Tess gets down in front of Ellie. I'm gonna talk to you like you're an adult, okay? Joel and I aren't good people. Ray is a different story, Tess begins to say as I scoff a bit at her comment. We're doing this for us because apparently you're worth something, but we don't know what you're worth if we don't know what we have. Don't answer my question, Tess finishes. Ellie makes eye contact with me and I nod to tell her it's okay. You told me not to tell anybody and now I'm telling the first people that Ellie begins to say as she pauses to rub her face. There's a Firefly base camp somewhere out west with doctors. They're working on a cure, Ellie finishes. I've heard that. Heard this before. Joel speaks up. And whatever happened to me, Ellie starts again, is the key to finding the vaccine. Ellie and Joel speak at the same time. That's what this is? Joel asks as he looks at Ellie. We've heard this a million times. Vaccines, miracle cures. None of it works. Ever. Joel says as he gets cut off by Ellie. Fuck you, man. I didn't ask for this, Ellie says as she stood up. You and me both, Joel counters, and I then stood up myself. Stop it, all of you, I say sternly as the three looks at me. I always believe that anything is possible, and if Marlene thinks she could be a way to make a cure, then I believe her, I say, pointing at Ellie. As a doctor, I believe it can be done, I finish. This isn't gonna end well, Ray. We need to go back, Joel says as he looks at me and then to Tess. You two can go back if you want, but I'm taking Ellie where she needs to go. Neither of you can change my mind either, so don't even try. I speak in a stern and serious manner. Tess then stands back up, looking at Ellie and then at Joel and me. Let's just finish it. It doesn't matter if she is or she isn't what Fireflies say. If they believe that she is as well as Ray, then we get what we want. Tess tells us as she looks at me. And you are not going anywhere without us, understand? She asked me, as I couldn't help but smile softly and nod. We all look at each other and then back to Ellie. Joel then looks back at Tess. If she so much as twitches, Joel says seriously as Ellie starts to make the noises of infected jokingly. Don't, Tess tells her sternly, looking at her as I held back a chuckle. Hey, Ray thought it was funny. I could see it on her face. But okay. Ellie points out as I shake my head and smile. It never fails with you, Ellie, I reply. Tess then looks back at Joel. Okay? She asks. Joel shakes his head disapprovingly, but ultimately agrees. We all then begin to pack up as Joel grabs the automatic rifle. Can I have a gun? Ellie says. Absolutely not, Joel replies. No, Tess adds. Did you even pass that part of your training? I ask, looking at her. Ellie gives me a look that confirms what I thought. That's what I thought, I say with a chuckle. Okay, Jesus, fine, I'll have to throw a fucking sandwich at him, Ellie says as she finishes packing up. Joel then moves the cabinet blocking the door and opens up the door slowly. He then looks back to us. It's clear, he tells us, as we all then follow behind him. As we all came out, I had seen Ellie look around in awe. Whoa, Ellie says as she looks around. Yeah, looks different in the daylight, huh? I say to her as I nudge her. Ellie looks to me, and I can see a faint smile on her face as she continues to look around. Joel steps up on a ledge to get a better look, and then turns back to us. We should get moving, he tells us as he gets down on, and the four of us begin our journey. It's like a fucked up moon, Ellie speaks up as she looks at the crater. Is this where they bombed? She asks. Yeah, they hit most of the big cities like this, Tess replies. They had to stop the spread somehow. This is how they did it, I add. I look over to see that Joel had kept walking, and I sigh as I watch. Worked here, but it didn't in most places, Tess says as we continue walking again. The four of us came to a halt as we see a collapsed building in the middle of the way to get to the State House. So, State House is across there. It's about a 10-minute walk if you could go straight, Tess says. So, Ellie asks. Long way or short way? Joel asks. I don't think there's really a choice. It would have to be the long way or the we're fucking dead way, I reply. Well, I vote the long way just based on that limited information, Ellie pipes up. We have to check it for the hotel first, Joel says. Okay, Tess replies as her and Ellie begin to walk to the hotel. Me and Joel look at each other, and I could sense that he was feeling a lot of emotions right now. I didn't blame him. I am too. You okay? I ask him, trying to break up the tension. Would you have really went by yourself? Take her west to the Fireflies, Joel asks me. I would have. Yeah, I reply to him. He just simply nods as we both follow Tess and Ellie. As we walked, me and Joel hang back behind them. I wasn't really sure how Joel felt about me at this point. I didn't know if it was a good or a bad feeling. I look up to see Tess and Ellie talking to each other. I had no clue what they were talking about. Oh, I'm reading the fic that's right there. It's one of the fics that I wrote myself. Currently still working on it, actually. This is chapter 4? Chapter 4? If I remember correctly. Is that right, Pookie? Are we on chapter 4? I don't know. I'm just reading. Okay. Now, where was I? He just simply nods as we then follow Tess and Ellie. As we walked, me and Joel hang back behind them. I wasn't really sure how Joel felt about me at this point. I didn't know if it was a good or bad feeling. I looked up to see Tess and Ellie talking to each other. I had no clue what they were talking about. You really think she could possibly be a cure? Joel asks me out of the blue. I nod as I look up at him. From a scientific standpoint, yeah, I do. Whether or not it's medically possible is what I'm not sure about, I reply. Joel nods as if he was satisfied with my answer. You're not mad at me, are you? Nope, hold on. You're not mad at me, are you? I ask him. I don't know. Joel replies as I nod, not wanting to press further. How did you get bit? I hear Tess ask Ellie. You know the old mall in the QZ? Ellie asks. The one that's sealed off and boarded up and no one's supposed to go in ever? That one? Tess asks as she looks at Ellie. Whatever. I snuck in, wanted to see what it was like. Didn't think there was going to be anything in there. Then one just came out of nowhere. Thought I got away, but So it was just you in there, alone? Tess asks. Yeah, Ellie replies as we all stop a minute. How old are you? Tess asks. 14, Ellie replies. Wow. Well, I mean, you got some balls on you, sister, Tess says, complimenting her as she climbs over a car blocking the road. Thanks, Ellie replies as the rest of us do the same, Joel helping me over. I give him a soft smile and nod as we continue on. Nobody's gonna be coming after you, right? Tess asks Ellie, like mom, dad, boyfriend, she adds. I'm an orphan and, no, Ellie replies as I couldn't help but smile a bit. It is something about her that she knows what to say and how to say something to make me chuckle and smile. To me, she is one special kid. Everyone said the city was crazy. Like swarms of infected running around everywhere. Ellie speaks up after a few minutes. It's not exactly like that. Joel speaks up. You know, people like to tell blah 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 blah. You know, people like to tell stories, especially the ones that don't even really know what it's like out here. I speak. So there aren't super infected like that explode fungus spores on you? Ellie asks. Shit, I hope not, Tess replies. Or ones with split open heads that see in the dark like bats? Ellie asks. I immediately tense up as Tess looked back at me and Joel. As if Joel could sense my tenseness, he immediately grabs hold of my hand. I take a deep breath as I held his hand back. Then, in the distance, there was a loud, distant yell that stops us in our tracks. We all stay quiet for a moment until Ellie speaks up. What was that? She asks. Let's keep moving. Tess nods to us as we then continue towards the hotel. Once we were a good distance, Joel leans over and plants a kiss to my temple. I then look up at him and give him a small smile as a thank you. We soon made it to the hotel and I helped Joel open the doors. Once inside, we see that the place is flooded. You've got to be kidding me. You ever stay in a place like this? Ellie asks us. No, a little out of our league, Tess replies. Speak for yourself, I speak up with a chuckle. Wait, you have? Ellie asks me excitedly. I nod. Yeah, I used to stay in places like this when I was in college and went to different conventions. It was always free, though, I say with a chuckle. Excuse me. You always have to rub it in, don't you? Tess asks me as she playfully nudges me. Yes, I do, I reply to her as we approach the stairs going down into the water. How do you even know what this is? Joel asks Ellie. Have you heard of books? Ellie counters as I chuckle. You got you there, Joel. I speak up as she shakes his head at me and starts to walk into the water. No, since this is one I wrote myself, it's on Wattpad, and it's also on a website called AO3 that has fanfictions and stuff on it. That's where you can find it. Alright. Where was I? Wait, are we going in there? Ellie asks nervously. The link is in the Discord. Thank you, Pookie! Alright, where was I? She got you there, Joel. I speak up as he shakes his head at me and starts to walk into the water. Wait, are we going in there? Ellie asked nervously. Yeah, we gotta get to the stairwell on the other side, Tess says. Well, I don't know how to swim, Ellie says as I raise an eyebrow at her. Seriously? Joel asks her. You think we have pools in the QZ? She counters. No, smartass, I mean, Joel says as he jumps down, showing that the water was shallow. I chuckled softly at the interaction and followed Joel into the water. I don't know how I was supposed to know that, Ellie says as her and Tess follow us into the water. We then begin walking through the water, and it was definitely unpleasant. So gross, I hear Ellie say behind me. Oh, check it out, she says excitedly as I turn to see her walking over to the check-in desk. I smile softly as I hear a chuckle from her as she got to the counter. Ding ding, she says as she also rings the bell. Yes, sir, I would like your finest suite, please. Yes, ma'am. Would you like me to take your luggage? Yes, ma'am. Right this way, ma'am. Ellie acts out as she grabs hold of a luggage cart before being interrupted by Joel. You're a weird kid, he tells her. You're a weird kid, she says back sassily as she moves the cart. A body then fell out before her, and Ellie shouts, "Ah, fuck me!" she yells, as Joel immediately made his way over to her, as do I. It turns out to just be a skeleton that was still rotting away. Oh my god, Ellie says, breathing heavily as Joel turns the skull with his foot. Sorry, Ellie tells him as he looks at her and helps her stand back up since she fell back against the piano. I chuckle as I pat Ellie on the shoulder, and she walks back over to Tess. Me and Joel exchange a look before following her. You okay? Tess asks Ellie. Yep, fucking fabulous, Ellie replies. Alright, now we're on chapter 5. Alrighty. We all soon made it to the top of the hotel. Joel was now in front of Tess, and I was in the back behind Ellie. The walk up was quiet, but I wasn't complaining. Fuck, holy shit, I hear Tess say as she tries to catch her breath. Come on, it wasn't that bad, Ellie says as she peeks around the corner. You try climbing 10 fucking floors with our knees, see how you feel, Tess replies as I let out a chuckle. I don't know about you and Joel, but I feel great, I speak up. Shut up, Ray, Tess says back to me as I let out a soft laugh. The four of us go down the hallway and make a left, seeing that the roof has collapsed. Well, when did that fucking happen? Tess asks as her and Joel try 2 doors opposite of each other. Maybe that one? She asks Joel. No, Joel replies. Okay, maybe me or you can crawl through that gap up there, work our way around and open the door from the inside? I ask as I was referring to Tess. No, well, I'm the smallest, so it'd be easier for me to get through, Ellie points out. But you die and we get nothing. You stay, Tess says. So who goes? I ask. I'll go. I'm more flexible anyway, Tess replies with a bit of teasing tone. Ha ha, you're so funny, I say as I get out of her way. Can you give me a hand, Joel? Tess asks as she got ready to be boosted up. Joel shoves Ellie out of the way, her scoffing in the process, before he moves to help Tess. Tess makes it up into the hole and is able to start climbing through the rubble. You good up there? Joel asks her. Yeah, it's a bit of a mess, so I'm gonna need a few minutes, Tess replies as she continues upward. As we all wait for Tess, the 3 of us took the liberty to sit down. I sat next to Joel on one wall, and Ellie sat across from us on the opposite wall. I laid back against the wall as I watched Ellie take out her knife and start flipping it for entertainment. Yeah, that's me. It's me. Alright. Nice knife, Joel speaks up as Ellie stops to look at him a moment before going back to flipping her knife. Where'd you learn to do that? He asks her. The circus, she replies, as I couldn't help but smile softly at the interaction. I look to see that Joel rolls his eyes and look around a bit and sigh. I reach over and pat him on the leg, and he turns to look at me. I just smile softly up at him and give him a wink before removing my hand from his leg. Yeah, I did. Some of them are unfinished. But one of them is sort of finished. Let's see. I then notice that Ellie closes her knife and contemplates on what to say. Where are you from? She finally asks. Texas. Joel replies as Ellie looks to me. Detroit. I reply also. It's in Michigan. Joel adds. I go to school. I know where Detroit is. Ellie quips back. I chuckle softly as Joel gives me one of his famous stares. Don't look at me like that. You were asking for that one, I say to him just as he shakes his head at me. So, you two like, Ellie starts to pass. Joel interrupts her as I stifle a chuckle. How'd you end up in Boston? Ellie asks him. Pass. No more questions about me. He replies with agitation. Okay, then what about you, Doc? Ellie asked me. What about me? I asked back. How did you end up in Boston? She asks. It's a long story. I don't really like to talk about it. I reply. That's fair. How long do infected live? She asks. Oh, I thought you went to school. Joel quips back. It's a really shitty one, he says in retort. Well, well, some last about a month or two, but there's others been walking around about 20 years. Joel finally replies. Ever kill one? She asks after a moment of silence. Yeah, killed lots of them. He replies as she looks to me for an answer, and I simply nod. Was it hard? She asks after yet another moment of silence. Like knowing they were people once? She adds. Sometimes, he replies. What about that guy last night? She asks him. I could feel the tension rising as the two looks at each other. It was then we hear a thumping sound, the three of us quickly getting to our feet, and we then hear Tess through the other side of the door. You can put the gun down, Joel, she says through the door. There were no more noises like she was there were then more noises like she was moving things around, and she soon opens the door. Now what? I ask my sister. Tess gives us a nod to follow her, and the three of us do so. And by the look on her face, I could tell what we were about to experience next wasn't going to be good. We make it to this outdoor area, and the four of us go through some plastic sheets to get to the balcony. It was there that we look down below and see hundreds of infected crawling around on the ground. I was so shocked to see so many. I had never in my life seen so many in one place. I think Joel noticed the look of shock and fear on my face because he gently takes hold of my hand and squeezes it in a comforting manner. I take a deep breath as I held his hand back. There's so many, Ellie speaks up. Last time we were here, they were still deep inside buildings. Then I guess enough people came through looking for the QZ, and they went inside seeking shelter. And that's how they get more and more of the city bit by bit, after year. Tess explains to her. And it's never something you get used to seeing either. Speak up. I could feel Tess and Joel's eyes on me when I said this. I never liked to talk about what I'd see on the job, and especially to them since they tell me stories of their travels all the time. Not saying that this is a competition or anything, but my experiences are worse by a long shot. They're connected, Ellie says. You're right. More than you know, I say as me and Ellie look at each other. The fungus also grows underground, long fibers like wires, some of them stretching as far as a mile long, I continue. Yeah, now you step on a patch of cordyceps in one place, and you can wake a dozen infected from somewhere else. Now they know where you are. Now they come, Tess adds. You're not immune from being ripped apart, Ellie. These things will devour you in seconds if you give them a chance, I tell her with a stern look. You understand? It's important. We're trying to keep you alive, Tess adds. Ellie nods to us both and she takes a step back. So, we're not going that way? No, Tess says. What do we do then? Ellie asks. Short way? She asks as fear sets into her. Museum, Joel speaks up. The four of us make it down to the ground level and make our way to the museum. Me and Joel stick together while Ellie and Tess walk ahead of us. Are you okay? Joel asks me after some time passes. I'm not even sure, I reply honestly. I know this is scary for you. You've never been out like this before, so I get it. It's all just so different. I've only been on jobs with you at Test a handful of times. Those times weren't nearly as bad as this. I know, he says as he takes hold of my hand. We'll get through this. I promise. Stick by me and you'll be fine. I nod as I hold his hand back, and we fall into a comfortable silence. We soon make it to the entrance of the museum, and the building itself looks intimidating. There was fungus growing around the doors and out of the windows, with foliage growing around it too. It looks like something out of a horror movie, if you ask me. You've gotta be fucking kidding me, I hear Ellie say as we caught up to them. Well, there's a way across from the top floor, Tess says. Well then, I guess it's fine, Ellie speaks as Joel moves ahead. Used to take it all the time, Tess reassures Ellie. Okay, Ellie says, still unsure of it as I follow Joel. He kneels down to look at the string of fungus coming from the building. From the way it looks to me, it was already dead. Look, it was fine, Tessa tells Ellie. Awesome, Ellie replies. The three of us then watch as Joel touches the strand of fungus and hits it with the butt end of his rifle. He then stands up and turns to us. It's bone dry, he informs us. It could mean they're all finally dead in there, he adds as Tess nods. Me, Tess, and Joel then open up our packs to get our flashlights to head inside. Aw, man, we hear Ellie say. Joel then looks up at her and realizes that she isn't doing the same. Marlene pack you one of these or just sandwiches? He asks, holding up his flashlight. Yeah, Ellie replies as she opens up her pack and takes out her flashlight. Okay. So, more ground wolves. We're gonna go slowly. If we come up against anything, you get behind us and you stay there, okay? Tess tells Ellie. Yes. Ellie agrees as me and Tess get our pistols ready. I have a spare hand, Ellie says. Congratulations. Right, get behind me, Joel says as he leads me up to the doors, and I chuckle softly at the comment he made. Joel peeks inside and nods to the three of us to follow him in. Once inside, we take in our surroundings very carefully. Joel ends up finding some dead infected in one of the open rooms. Yeah, hooked, Joel says. Good, finally getting some fucking luck, I speak up. I guess we should have gone this way in the first place, Joel says as we slowly enter the room. Oh shit, we hear Ellie as Joel quickly moves to her as well as I. We round the corner to find a man that had recently been killed by the looks of it. It looked as if something had torn into him. What the fuck did that? Ellie asks. Nate, Tess, and Joel all look at each other, and I sure as hell didn't like what signals they were sending. Maybe he was attacked outside and crawled through the doors. The door was open. Could have been him. I don't hear anything. Tess speaks softly. Who would you hear? Ellie asks not as softly. The three of us urge her to quiet down. Who would you hear? She repeats in a whisper this time. Are you saying that infected did that? Shh, Tess says, trying to quiet her down more. Because I've been attacked by one and it wasn't like that, Ellie explains to us. From this point forward, we are silent. Not quiet. Silent, Joel tells us. What? Ellie starts to ask. No more questions. Just do it, Joel tells her as he continues forward, heading for the stairs, with me following behind him. Ellie and Tess following behind me. I knew now what we were up against. I had seen people be attacked like that before, but always seen the aftermath of it. What we are going up against is clickers. Clickers! I still can't do the clicking part of it. I don't know how they do that. God, it's so cold down here. Hold on, let me turn on my heater real quick. Alright. Heck. Very hard to read for long periods of time. Alright. Chapter 6, people. Chapter 6. Alright. The four of us slowly begin to ascend the stairs as we remain as quiet as possible. Joel was in front of me, Ellie and Tess behind me. My breathing was definitely uneven as we continued up. Am I scared? Yes, I am. The building then settled a bit as we all see dust fall from above us. We then come to a part of the stairs where bodies were everywhere with dried cordyceps surrounding them. I watched where Joel steps and made sure to step in the exact same places. I then hear a crunch of something, and me and Joel turn to see that Ellie had stepped on a hand of one of the bodies. She had an apologetic look, so I turn to see that Joel begins back up the stairs. We then make it to a set of doors at the top of the stairs. Joel slowly opens the door, inspecting the room, before turning to us and nodding that it was clear. He enters the room before the three of us follow suit. Once we were inside, we hear a creaking sound and the roof collapses and caves in the other side of the door we entered from. Me, Ellie, and Tess fell to the floor from the impact. Joel quickly made his way over to me and helped me up before Tess and Ellie. I take a deep breath as he looks at me with a concerned look, but I give him a nod to tell him I was okay. It was then that we hear clicking noises coming from down the hall. I knew that sound all too well, and I knew it wasn't good. Me, Joel, Tess had our guns at the ready as we watch a clicker walk into the same room we're in. The four of us take a few steps back, but then hear another clicker coming from the opposite direction. My heart was beating fast as I knew anything could happen at this point. I was not only scared for my life, but also for the others. We all take cover behind one of the cases as we watch one of the clickers walk by on the other side of us. I see that Joel was looking behind me at whom I assume was Ellie. He then signals to her that clickers can't see, but they can hear. As the clicker continues to move forward, he puts his finger to his lips to signal to be quiet. The clicker then walks out in front of us. It must have heard us because it turns to us screeching, and Joel shoots his rifle, starting to fight it. "Run!" he shouts as the other clicker makes itself known, coming towards us. Tess fires at it but misses as me, her, and Ellie run the opposite direction. As we ran around, I caught sight of Joel fighting the clicker, and my heart beats faster than ever. Tess then stumbles over a mannequin, and the three of us falling to the ground. "Go, Ellie!" I tell her as me and Tess quickly get up and fire our pistols at the clicker. The two of us eventually lose the clicker and hide. Sadly, me and Tess had gotten separated in the chase. I had no clue where anyone was. Everything was quiet for a few moments before I hear a commotion and see that Joel was struggling with the clicker that was on top of him and Ellie. I watch as Joel was able to take out the clicker, and I quickly make my way over to them from the side. Ellie grabs onto me as we stood off to the side. The other clicker from before then came charging at us, but Tess came out of nowhere and put an axe into its head. Joel grabs his rifle off the ground and fired, killing the clicker. Me and Ellie then walk a bit closer to Joel as I see him look over at Tess. "You alright?" he asks her. "Twisted ankle, but yeah," Tess replies as she walks around, looking at me and Ellie. "You two alright?" she asks us. "Well, I didn't shit my pants, so," Ellie replies. I chuckle softly at her remark. "I'm okay." I say, as Ellie lifts up her sleeve to reveal she had been bitten. Fucking kidding me? Ellie says with a sigh. I mean, if it was gonna happen to one of us, she continues. Hey, let's get the fuck out of here, Tess says as I turn my attention to her. I nod as we follow her up to the roof. Once there, Joel opens up the window for us to climb out. Tess sits down as well as me, Joel taking off his pack, getting a cloth out for Ellie. Here, put this around your arm, he tells her. Thanks, Ellie says as she takes the cloth, then walks over to the makeshift bridge that goes over to the other roof. Over there? She asks. Yeah, I know it looks scary, Joel says as he helps me tend to Tess's ankle. That was scary. This is wood, Ellie remarks as she walks across. Just wait there, give us a minute, Joel tells her as she kept walking. You got any tape? I asked Joel, as he nods and grabs some out of his pack. I take it and try to wrap Tess's ankle, but my hands were too shaky to do anything. Here, let me, Joel says as he gently takes the tape from me and wraps her ankle. I sigh and try to calm myself as Tess takes one of my hands. There's probably more ahead, he speaks up. So we'll deal with it then, he says as she noticed he was struggling a bit himself. I got it, she says as she takes the tape from him and does it herself. What about the kid? He asks, looking over at Ellie and then back to us. I mean, maybe the first bite didn't take, but what about the second? How about you just take the good news? Tess quips back. I sigh as I knew she was right. Ellie's bite is the least of our worries right now. Can you do that? She asks him. I'd like to think for once maybe we could actually win. I watch as the two look at each other for a long moment. Joel with a bit of hurt at Tess's tone with him. Just go watch her, Tess tells him as she finishes up wrapping her ankle. Joel looks at me and I give him a soft nod to go. He reluctantly gets up, grabbing his backpack and rifle, and going across the bridge. I then look back at Tess. Did you really have to have that tone with him? I ask her. I know, he'll get over it. I just want to be happy that we all made it out is all. That you made it out, she says as she looks back into my eyes. Of course I made it out. I had you, I tell her as she gives me a soft smile. I love you, Ray. Don't forget that, okay? I love you too, Tess. Although I don't think you would let me forget a thing like that, I say with a chuckle as she chuckles along with me. I then stood up, helping her also. You ready for the next part? I ask. Yep, let's go, she says as she starts across the bridge with me behind her. We then catch up to Ellie and Joel, the two of them looking out over the city. I also took notice that Tess had reverted back to her serious demeanor that I saw just moments ago with Joel. Something is wrong, and I could tell. Come on, let's get there before it's dark, she says as she begins to make her way down the ladder with a grunt. I noticed Joel nod for Ellie to follow, and she did. I come up next to Joel and look at the view. She okay? Joel asks me. She's strong. She'll be fine. She just needs time, I reply. What about you? What about me? I could have lost you back there. And I could have lost you, but I didn't. We're strong and stubborn. Because we're strong and stubborn. I hear Joel stifle a chuckle and as I smile a little. Come on, let's get going before we fall behind, I say as I make my way down the ladder as well. I'm coming, Joel says as he follows me. The four of us then walk down the road, the Capitol building straight ahead. Tess was walking ahead of us on her own. She looks back at us once, and just by that I could definitely tell that something was wrong, and I think Joel noticed too. Once at the Capitol, we all crouched down behind a car to make sure there was no movement before we went in. Where the fuck are they? Tess asks. I see Joel shakes his head as he looks back at us and then back at the truck in front of us. He then looks at me and nods for me to follow him. I nod as we both come out from behind the car and walk slowly towards the truck. Once we got to the passenger side door, I ready my pistol as Joel opens the door to reveal absolutely nothing, other than the fact that there was blood all over the side of the door and the seat. Joel turns to where Tess and Ellie stood, ready ready and told them to stay back. Hi, Cauldron. No, this is just chapter 5, I think, if I remember correctly. You go around the left and I'll go right, he tells me as I nod in response. The two of us then walk to the back of the truck and he opens it to reveal that there was nothing there. Joel, Ray, what the fuck is going on? Tess asks as she walks up to us. I don't know, Joel replies, looking very confused and slightly agitated. I went inside, I hear Ellie say as I look her way. I look down to see the trail of blood she was looking at. She's right, trail of blood, I say as I ready my pistol once more. Tess then grabs Ellie's wrist and takes her up the stairs. Come on, she tells Ellie. Tess! Joel calls out as Tess continues up the stairs. Tess! I call out as well as me and Joel exchange a look before following them. You totally should! Cauldron is so good. Both things are really good. Once we were all inside, we indeed found the fireflies. It was a bloodbath of infected in them. It was definitely one of the worst sights I've ever seen. Oh shit, I hear Ellie say. Jesus, I hear Joel remark as we look around. I mean, there's gotta be a fucking radio or something, right? Tess asks as she starts going through their stuff. Who killed them, Fendra? Ellie asks as we inspect the bodies. No, Joel says as he turns over one of the bodies and looks at me. Looks like one of them got bit. Sick ones fought the healthy ones, and this was the result. Everyone lost, I speak. Tess, what are you doing? Joel asks as he turns back to her. Where did Marlene say that she was taking you, Ellie? Taking you? Ellie, she asks as she comes back over to us, getting her attention. I don't know, just west, Ellie replies. Just west. Fuck. Okay. Well, I mean, one of them's gotta have a map on them, right? She says as she starts to search the bodies. Joel? Ray, can you help me? No. Tess, it's over. We're going home, Joel tells her as he walks up to her. That's not my fucking home! Tess yells back at him. There was then a moment of silence as Tess sighs and stood up to face Joel. I'm staying, she speaks. Like hell you are, I say as I come up next to Joel. Did you hit your head back there in that museum? I ask her. Come on, Ray. I mean, our luck had to run out sooner or later, she replies. I look at my sister dumbfounded. Fuck, I hear Ellie say as I turn to look at her as well as Joel. She's infected, Ellie finishes as I quickly turn back to Tess in disbelief as well as Joel. Show me, Joel demands. Joel says. Tess says as she tries to step forward, but he steps back. I begin to tear up because just by how she said his name, I knew it was true. Then she shows us her bite, and I swallow hard. Oops, right? She asks as she looks at Ellie. Take your bandage off, she tells her. Ellie sighs and does so, revealing her bite mark. Look, Tess says as she walks over to her, taking Ellie's arm in her hands. Joel, Ray, this is real. Joel, she's fucking real, she says as she then hides her shaking hand. I need the two of you to get her to Bill and Frank's. No, Joel says as he shakes his head. They'll take her off your hands, Tess says as Joel repeats himself. They'll handle it from there, she tells him. No, I can't. We can't. They won't take her, Joel says. They're not going to take her. Yes, they will, 'cause you'll convince them. Yes, you will. Both of you will, Tess tells us. At this point, tears were streaming down my face, my eyes becoming red. Tess, I say softly. Ray, I'm going to need you to be strong for me, okay? You keep going. You move on. You do this for me. You understand? Tess tells me. No, you're all I have left. Me and you are all that's left of our family. I can't lose you too, Tess! I say as I start to sob and come closer to her. You don't have a choice, she says back as she places her hands on my face. You keep going. You know this is what the rest of our family would want, right? You need to survive, Ray. You are more special than you realize, she tells me as our foreheads touch together. It was then that one of the men came to life, and Joel went over and shot it in the head. I then noticed little wires coming out of the ground. I knew what that meant. Tess lets me go as we watch Joel go over to the door and look outside. Even I could hear the swarm that was coming. He then closes the door and comes back over to us. How many? Tess asks. All of them. Maybe a minute, Joel says as he looks around thinking of a plan. Tess then grabs one of the guns off the floor and starts opening the barrels of fluid. What are you doing? Ellie asks. Making sure they don't follow you, Tess replies, as she then throws out a box of grenades before walking up to Joel. Joel, save who you can save. Protect my sister. I hear her tell him. Cauldron, there's no smut in this, I promise. There's no smut in this, yet. Yet. There will be eventually, but this is more of like a slow burn story than it is full-on smut story. See, Pookie likes it when I read that part of the story where we find out Tess is bit. You're here for the lemon? Oh man. You'll see some lemon, I think. Maybe. I don't know. I'm not exactly sure what lemon means in fanfic writing stuff. I've heard of the term before, but I'm not exactly sure what it means. Alright. Chapter 7. This is chapter 7, guys. Chapter 7. Alright. Joel looks at Tess for a moment before looking at me. I give him a nod, and he immediately grabs Ellie's wrist and begins to drag her out of the building. No, we're not leaving her! Get off me, you fucker! I'm not going with you! I hear Ellie shout as the two make it out of the building. I then turn to look at Tess for what would be the last time. You need to go. There's not much time, she tells me. I know, I say as I bring her into a tight embrace as she hugs me back. I love you, sis. I love you too. Now go. Take that girl and save the world, she says, letting me go and I slowly back away. Say hi to everyone for me, I tell her before I turn and run out of the room, leaving the building to catch up with Ellie and Joel. Okay, then there's lime stuff in this, not lemon. There's a bit of lime. There's no lemon yet. I had just made it outside when I find them running off into the woods. I run to catch up when the building explodes behind us, and the cries of the infected burning filled the silence. I was brought to the ground as I look up to see Joel and Ellie looking at the building and then to me. I slowly stood up and made my way over to them, turning back to look at the building before us. Yeah, it's very odd that they rate with citrus fruits, but you know what? It's fine. Tears welled up in my eyes and eventually fell down my cheeks. I then felt an arm wrap around me, and I knew who it was. I leaned into Joel as the two of us turned away from the burning building and began walking. Ellie eventually following behind us. The three of us ended up walking in silence for a while, Joel's arm still around me as I take in the recent events. I didn't know what to think or how to feel in this moment. Tess was the only family I had left, and now I just felt empty. A thought did occur to me that I hoped Joel wouldn't have to go through what I'm going through. I hope we find Tommy alive and well, and the two of them can be reunited happily. As it got dark, we decided to rest for the night. I was glad that Ellie could rest at least. Me and Joel sat up against a tree as he held me close, my head resting on his shoulder. I couldn't sleep, and I don't think he could either. He eventually did, though, and I was happy about it, even if it was just for an hour or so. When the sun began to rise the next morning, I quietly get out of Joel's embrace and head down to the shallow river that was nearby. I needed time to myself, time to think and time to grieve. I was determined to not let my sister's death be in vain. It is set in my mind that I'm going to get Ellie where she needs to go, whether Joel comes with me or not. I know how he feels about the situation, but at the same time, I can't help but think that he's being selfish. His only goal right now was to find Tommy, and I knew that. Still plan to help him in that regard. Time goes by, and I hear footsteps coming from behind me. Did you get any sleep at all? I hear Joel ask as he crouches down next to me as I sat on the riverbank. No, not a bit, I said sadly as I looked down at my hands. Listen, I don't apologize for something that's not your fault. I don't want your pity either, just like I know you don't want mine, I say, cutting him off. He sighs as he looks down at the ground. It's her fault. No, don't you dare pin this on Ellie, I say as I snap my head up to look at him. He then looks back at me as well. If it wasn't for her, we wouldn't be in this mess. That doesn't make it her fault. You think she wanted this? I don't think so. No one in their right mind would want this, Joel, I say, turning my head away and watch the flowing river. So what's the plan? He sighs as he starts to pile up some rocks like a memorial. We get to Bill and Frank's. See if they will take her off our hands, he replies. What if I don't want them to take her? Listen, Joel, I'm wanting to see this through. If you don't want to come with me, that's fine, but I'm taking that girl to the Fireflies and making sure the cure can be done. I say, turning my head to look back at him before I stood up. I'm not going to let you go alone, Ray. It's my job to protect you, he says as he finishes the memorial and stood as well, looking at me. Then I suppose you have a choice to make, because I won't let Tess's death be in vain, I tell him before starting back up to where Ellie is. Ray, he calls to me as I stop and turn back to look at him walking up to me. I'm not losing you too. I sniffle a bit as I wrap my arms around his waist, him wrapping his arms around my shoulders as my head rests on his chest. I'm not losing you either. You're all I have left, I speak softly. Then we need to stick together, no matter what. I'm not going to let anything happen to you. He holds me even tighter as he spoke, and I felt pretty comforted by what he said as well. I then pull away slightly and look up at him as he looked down at me. Before I knew it, we were both inching closer to each other, and our lips touched for the first time. We only held the kiss for a few seconds before we pulled away and rested our foreheads against each other. Tess was right, you know, he whispers. About what? Whisper back. You are more special than you think. I could tell you many things that I love about you, but none of them describe how special you are. I could say the same for you, Joel. You have been the best thing to ever happen to me and my sister since the outbreak started. She loves you, you know. I know. I did too. Not romantically, of course. I chuckle softly. I know, Joel, I say as I hear a soft chuckle coming from him as well, the two of us looking at each other once more. Tess told me, by the way. Told you what? He asks with a confused yet concerned tone. How you felt about me? I whisper in reply. Oh, he started to say, but I cut him off by kissing him once more. As I did so, he pulls me closer as we melt into each other. Once we pull away, I look into his eyes. I feel the same way. I've felt this way for a while. I never said anything because I didn't want to mess up what you and Tess had, even though I know it wasn't romantic at all. Joel just takes a moment to look at me, like he is speechless. We stood there looking at each other in silence. It is clear that neither of us knew what to say in this moment, but it wasn't uncomfortable at all. Are you gonna say something? I asked with a chuckle. Yeah, I just... Really? He asks, and I giggle at how he is fumbling with his words. Yeah, really. I don't think I could find anyone better. I don't think I could. I smile softly as I slowly pull away from him. We should get back to Ellie, I say as I start back up to the woods, him following closely behind me. We make it back to where Ellie is, and I notice that she is awake now as she leaned against the tree with Joel's jacket covering her up. Me and Joel go over to our packs, and I sit down a minute as Joel rummages his bag for jerky. You want your jacket back? Ellie asked as Joel just shook his head. He was able to find the jerky and took a bite, offering me some, which I declined. He gave me a look, but I gave him one right back. I just didn't have an appetite. Joel then looks to Ellie and tosses her the package of jerky. Ellie takes it and starts to eat. I've never been in the woods, she says as she looks around a moment. More bugs than I thought, she continues. Yeah, bugs can be a pain sometimes, I say as I slap my neck where I felt a bug crawling. There was then another pause. Look, I've been thinking about... Ellie starts. We don't want your sorries. Joel cuts her off as he stood up, slinging his pack over his shoulder. I wasn't gonna say I'm sorry. I was gonna say that I've been thinking about what happened. Nobody made you or Ray take me. Nobody made you two go along with this plan. You needed a truck battery or whatever, and you made a choice. So don't blame me for something that isn't my fault, she says bluntly as her and Joel stare at each other a moment before he nods to her. I was proud of her for standing up for herself. She definitely put it in better words than I did when I tried to defend her back at the river with Joel. I was guessing that she knew he was blaming her for what happened to Tess. I then stood up along with Ellie as she walks over to us, Joel grabbing the rifle. Ellie then hands him his jacket, and he takes it from her. How much longer? She asks. 5-hour hike. We can manage that, she says as I pat her on the shoulder and start up the hill without a word, the other two following behind me. The three of us walk in somewhat comfortable silence for about 2 hours or so. Joel would sneak glances at me, and I knew why. I was usually pretty talkative on hikes like this one. Then again, he knew I was going through a hard time, so he didn't push. Have you two gone this way a lot? Ellie speaks up, breaking the silence. Joel stood in the middle of us as we walked together. No infected? She asks. Not often, no. Joel replies as he stays alert by looking around. What are you looking out for? She asks. People, he replies. She hums softly. Are Bill and Frank nice? Frank is, I speak up with a chuckle. How'd you get that scar on your head? She asks him as he sighs. What, is it something lame, like you fell down the stairs or something? I didn't fall down any stairs, he replies. So what then? She asks. I was actually curious of his answer myself as I look up at him. He wouldn't never talk about how he got it when I ask. Voldemort did it. Someone shot at me and missed, he finally replies. I could tell from his voice that it was the truth, but I knew it wasn't the whole truth. See, that's cool. You shoot back? She asked, full of curiosity. Yeah. You get him? No, I miss too. It happens more often than you think, he replies, and I could tell that part was a lie. Almost all of it was, but I knew how he is. He doesn't like to talk about himself, let alone his past. 'Cause you suck at shooting, like shooting, or like in general? She asks as Joel just gives her a look. In general, he replies in his usual tone of voice. I then look over at Ellie and notice that she was glancing at the gun on Joel's belt. You know, seeing as it's just the three of us, I was thinking, she starts. No, Joel says, cutting her off. I chuckle softly at their interaction as the three of us continue walking together, eventually making it to an old gas station. Cumberland Farms, Ellie says the name of the place out loud as we start to make our way inside the rundown building. Hang back a minute, I gotta grab some stuff I stashed, Joel says as we follow him up to the door. Stash? Why do you have stuff stashed here? She asks. You're asking a lot of goddamn questions, he states. Yes, I do, she quips back. So are you gonna answer me, or what? She asks as we enter the building. On routes, they would stash things they would need if their supplies ever got low, which we currently are. I reply for Joel, as he gives me a thankful look before starting to look for where he stashed his stuff. No way! Ellie exclaims as she walks over to a broken Mortal Kombat game machine. I smile softly as she messes around with the buttons. Either of you ever play this one? She asks. Yeah, I have. Can't say the same for Joel. It's a good one for sure, I reply, watching her. Really? She asks as she looks at me before I nod and she turns back to the machine. I had a friend who knew everything about this game. There's this one character named Melina who takes off her mask and she has a monster teeth and then she swallows you whole and barfs out your bones. Oh man, she said with a hint of happiness and excitement. Oh yeah, she was definitely one of the good ones, I say as we both look over at Joel, who is still looking for his stash. You forgot where you put your stuff, huh? I ask with a smirk as he turns to me. Oh, just zeroing in on it, he replies as he shook his head. It's been a couple years. I chuckle softly and raise my hands in defeat. Okay, if you say so. Well, I'm gonna look around to see if there's anything good, Ellie says as she starts to walk towards the back. Trust me, it's all been picked over already, he tells her, continuing his search. Maybe not, she says as she reaches the back room. Is there anything bad in here? Just you, he replies. Ah, getting funnier, she says as she walks inside. He sighs and bangs up against the wall. Fuck, he says in frustration. Hey, you'll find it, I say, coming up to him. I know, it's just frustrating, he says as he keeps looking. The two of us then hear some commotion going on where Ellie went. You alright back there? He calls out. Yep, she yells back to us. He shook his head as he continues his search. I would help, but this is pretty amusing, I say with a smirk. Uh-huh, I'm sure it is, he speaks as I chuckle softly. Glad to see that you're still smiling and laughing, he mentions. I'm going through a hard time, yeah, but I'm not going to let it affect me. I still have you to keep me sane after all, I say as he looks back at me. Glad. I would miss that smile and laugh if it even... I'm glad. I would miss that smile and laugh if you did let it affect you. I smile softly and nod as I walk closer to him. I know. I would miss yours too. He nods as he kisses my temple and stepped back, finding a hollow place in the floor. We both looked down to see there was a place in the floor that could be opened up. I knew you'd find it, I say as he gets down and starts to open it up. Yeah. Yeah, I know, I gotta hydrate. My voice is starting to get dry, huh? It does. It does. Don't worry, I've been sipping all my water. You know what? Actually... Ow, my elbow. Let me turn on some music really quick. And I will take me a quick break to kind of rest my voice for a second and let me use the bathroom and such. So I will be right back and we will be continuing on with chapter 8. I'll be right back, you guys. Alright, I'm back. I totally forgot that I needed to take my medicine like over an hour ago. So, how are we feeling with the story so far? How are we feeling? Cauldron, you came in at like the middle of the middle of the book. Yeah, I had to take my meds. Good. I'm glad you think so far. Now we're on chapter 8. We're actually three chapters closer to get started on the new chapters. I don't know if Pookie's back yet, but we're getting closer and closer to the new chapters. I'm super excited because I think I think I wrote the last 2 chapters really well. All right, chapter 8, homies. Let's do this. I'm gonna take my headset back off because I think it's like weird to read with my headset on because I can barely hear myself, and so it just feels weird. Anyway, chapter 8. Joel got the stash opened up and the two of us began stocking up on supplies. It was then I noticed Joel looking up with a sort of worried expression. "Ellie?" he calls out. Now that he said it had now that he had said that, it had been a minute since we heard from her. "Ellie?" I call out as well as me and him exchanged glances at each other and stood to our feet. "Ellie!" Joel calls out as he looks to where she had gone earlier. The two of us ready our pistols as I let Joel walk over to the door. "Ellie," he calls out again as she emerges from the door holding up a box of tampons. "Picked over my ass," she says as she walks over to me, putting the tampons in her bag. Joel takes a moment to look into the room before coming back over to put everything away. He then goes to put the rifle down into the stash. "What are you doing?" Ellie asks. "There's not much ammo out there for this thing. Makes it mostly useless," he explains as he closes the hole back up and stood up. "Well, if you're just gonna leave it there," she says as me and Joel look at her. "No," we both say at the same time, as Joel grabs up his pack and the three of us make our way out of the building and continue our hike. Another hour passes by and the walk had been silent. Not a word spoken, but I quite liked it. Just listening to the nature around us, I could see Joel glance back at me every once in a while to make sure that I'm still there. 3 of us were walking more in a line now, Joel in front as Ellie walks between us, and me, of course, in the back. "Holy shit," I hear Ellie say. I look up to see that she's looking at a crash site of a plane. 3 of us stop for a moment. "Either of you fly in one of those?" she asks. "Few times, sure," Joel says. "Many times," I reply. "So lucky," Ellie says. "Didn't feel like it at the time," Joel says. "Yeah, at the time flying was a normal thing for many people," I add. "Yeah, get shoved into the middle seat, paid $12 for a sandwich," Joel continues. "Have a little kid kicking your seat from behind," I say with a chuckle. "Guys, you got to go up in the sky," Ellie says, looking between the two of us. Yeah, well, so did they," Joel says, nodding to the crash plane before we continue walking again. "Grim," Ellie says as we continue on. After about another 30 minutes of walking, Ellie speaks up again. "So, everything came crashing down in one day?" she asks. "Pretty much," Joel replies. "How?" she asks. "I mean, no one was infected with cordyceps. Everybody's fine. Eating in restaurants and flying in planes, and then all at once?" She continues, trying to put the pieces together. "How did anyone start? If you have to get bit to be infected, then who bit the first person?" she asks, looking between the two of us and then at me. "Was it a monkey?" "I bet it was a monkey!" "It wasn't a monkey. I thought you went to school," Joel says. "Fedra school. They don't teach us how their shitty government failed to prevent a pandemic," Ellie says. The food supply. I speak up as the two look at me. What do you mean? Cordyceps mutated and got into the food supply. Things people use every day, like flour or sugar. I explain. No one knows that for sure, but it's the best guess. There were certain brands of food that were sold everywhere, all across the country, all across the world. Bread, cereal, pancake mix, he says as he pauses for a moment, and by the look I knew he was reliving a memory. You eat enough of it, it'll get you infected. I speak. Yeah, so tainted food all hits the store shelves around the same time Thursday. People bought it, ate some Thursday night or Friday morning. Day goes on. He started to get sick, he continues. By afternoon, evening, they got worse. I remember people coming in with the same symptoms and we couldn't figure out why, I add. Then they started biting. Friday night, September 26, 2003. He says as he glances at Ellie and then back in front of him. By Monday, everything was gone. I don't know how it was for Joel, but in the bigger cities it was a nightmare. I speak softly as I remember the awful night. There was a pause of silence. It makes more sense than monkeys. Thanks. Thanks, Ellie says as she looks at me and then Joel. Sure, Joel says as shaking his head before he stops us. What? Ellie asked as I look at Joel with a confused look. We'll cut across the woods here, Joel says as he points to where he's talking about. Isn't the road easier? Ellie asks. Yeah, it's just... Joel starts. Joel, she's going to see worse in the days ahead. I speak up as Joel looks at me. What am I going to see? Ellie asks. There's just stuff up there I wouldn't want you to see, Joel says. Well, I have to see now, Ellie says as I smirk. I don't want you to, Joel says as Ellie starts walking forward. I'm serious, Ellie. Ray, back me up here. Can it hurt me? Ellie asks as I look up at Joel. No, Joel replies as Ellie turns to look at us, continuing to walk backwards. You're too honest, man. Should have said axe murderer, she says as she turns back around to continue walking. Ray, are we really going to let her see this? Joel asked me quietly. As I said, Joel, she's going to see worse as we go further into our journey. Might as well get it over with now, I reply. She's just a kid, Ray, Joel remarks. I know, but this won't be anything she hasn't already seen. Like you said, it won't hurt her, I reply as the three of us continue on. A few minutes go by and I could tell that Ellie was about to try and prove Joel wrong. Well, looks like whatever it is gone, she remarks. Then she looks to her left, and in the ditch below, there was a bunch of skeleton bones and skulls. There were even suitcases and belongings strewn about too. Ellie took a moment to look down and absorb what she was seeing with her eyes. Once me and Joel got up next to her, she looked up at us for an explanation. About a week after Outbreak Day, soldiers went through the countryside, evacuated small towns. Told you were going to a QZ, and you were, if there was room. If there wasn't, Joel says as he stops so Ellie could make her own conclusions. These people weren't sick? She asks. No, probably not, Joel replies. It was silent for a moment before Ellie spoke again. Why kill them? She asked. Why not just leave them be? People can't be infected if they're dead, I speak up. We then continue walking in silence until Ellie speaks up once more. So, if that's what happened in the small towns, what happened to the people in the big cities? Ellie asks as Joel looks at me. Well, it was the same deal, but the people in the cities got to go into the QZs first before anyone else. In most cities, it was like a war zone. Bodies littered the streets, explosions going off left and right. There never seemed to be an end, I reply. You worked at a hospital, right? She asked me. It was more like an internship, but yeah. I was there when people started coming in with symptoms, I reply. So you saw it all happen before your eyes, Ellie asks. I did. One minute it was like they had a cold or flu, and then the next they were biting and infecting others, I respond. I was lucky to get out that day. We're all lucky that you did. Joel speaks up, and I smile softly. Time passes quickly as the three of us walk in silence. It was a nice, beautiful day out. The birds were singing and the sun was shining down on us. At some point, Joel gently took hold of my hand and held it the whole time. I hope Frank is doing okay, I speak up softly. Well, last time I saw them, they seemed to be doing okay, Joel replies. How long ago was that, though? I ask. A few weeks at most. I'm sure they're fine, right? He reassured me. Why, what's wrong with Frank? Ellie asks. He had gotten sick over the last couple of years. Cancer, I replied sadly. Did you treat him? She asked. The best I could, but all I could do is prolong his life with medications. I don't even know what stage it was when we found out, I replied. I'm sure they're fine, Joel says as we finally get to the front gate of Bill and Frank's home. Stay here, he tells us as he goes up to the fence and puts in the code to get inside. Once we're all inside, we start to walk up to the house of Bill and Frank. As we pull up, I notice that the flowers don't look like they've been watered for a few days. I look up at Joel with a worried look, and he looks at me with the same look. I then follow him up to the front door to find it unlocked, which was very unusual. The three of us slowly walked inside. It was very quiet, which was also unusual. What the fuck? Ellie exclaims. Bill? Joel calls out. Frank? I call out. Me and Joel share a look, and then he looks at Ellie. You stay here. You hear anything, you see anything, yell. He tells her as me and him slowly continue through the house. Yes, they are, Cauldron. Yes, they are. Or they were. But, yeah. They were. Yeah. Very good episode of the season, by the way. Very good episode. One of the best ones out of the season. What if they're gone? Ellie asks. Me and Joel look back at Ellie, and then we look back at each other with more worry than before. The two of us make our way through the kitchen very carefully. I notice rotting fruit on the countertop as well as an unpleasant smell coming from the fridge. My suspicions were slowly becoming a reality. Me and Joel exchange looks once more before we slowly make our way out of the kitchen. Joel walks up to one of the doors and knocks. He then tries to open it, only to find it locked. It was then that the front door shut. Ellie, he calls out. We exchange another look and go back to the dining room. The two of us turn to see that Ellie was sitting at the dining table reading what seemed to be a letter. She then picks up the envelope and reads it. To whomever, but probably Joel, she reads. I figured I fell under whomever. It came with this, she says as she slides over what looked to be Bill's truck key. I swallow hard and start to tear up as my suspicions were becoming clear. Joel then puts down his backpack and grabs the truck key off the table. He looks at the key for a moment before asking the big question. Are they dead? He asks Ellie. Mm-hmm. She hums with a nod. Shit, I say as I turn away and try not to cry. I then felt a strong hand on my shoulder as I was turned back around and pulled into Joel's arms, him hugging me tightly. Do either of you wanna? Ellie asked as Joel shook his head in response. Go ahead, you do it, Joel says as he continues to hold me close to him. Ellie takes a breath before she begins to read the letter. August 29th, 2023. If you find this, please do not come into the bedroom. We left a window open so the house wouldn't smell, but it will probably be a sight. I'm guessing you found this, Joel, or even Ray, because anyone else would have been electrocuted or blown up by one of my traps. she reads as she looks up at us for a moment. I smile softly at the laughing part because that was such a Bill thing. Ellie then continues. Take anything you need. The bunker code is the same as the gate code, but in reverse. Anyway, I never liked you. Ray was nice, but still, it's like we're friends. Almost. And I respect you. So I'm gonna tell you something because you're probably the only person who will understand. I used to hate the world and I was happy when everyone died. But I was wrong, because there was one person worth saving. That's what I did. I saved him. Then I protected him. That's why men like you and me are here. We have a job to do. And God help any motherfuckers who stand in our way. I leave you all my weapons and equipment. Use them to keep Ray and... She stops suddenly as Joel lets me go, taking the letter from her. Me and Joel looked at it and it had said, use them to keep Ray and Tess safe. I take a deep breath as I then take a moment to step outside. Ray, Joel calls out to me as he follows. Chapter 9, guys! It's chapter 9! I'll wait for the ad to go away. Yep, Bill and Frank are very much hubbies. Surprisingly enough, they were very, very good for each other, too. Very, very good for each other. Bill was more of the hard ass, and then Frank was like the tender heart. Dooby-doo-ba-doo, Perry! Perry the Platypus! Agent P! Welcome back. We're now on to chapter 9. Let's do this thing. Once I got outside, I fell to my knees as I held my head in my hands. First Tess, now Bill and Frank are gone. I'm just in this huge state of grief, and I'm already getting tired of losing the people I care about most.
You're looking a little parched.
I hydrated already. I'm good. I could feel Joe's presence behind me, and I look up and look behind me. As he came closer, I stood to my feet and went into his arms. I softly began crying as he held me tighter. Shh, okay, he says, trying to comfort me. I know they're in a better place now. Frank isn't hurting anymore. I know, I reply softly. I guess the question is, what do we do now? We then pull apart from each other as he holds out the truck key and then looks at me, then the garage. I nod as the two of us make our way over and open it up. I then help Joel take off the cover to the truck. He pops open the hood. Only to find out there's no battery. Great, we're back to square one. Let's take a look around. Knowing Bill, he may have the supplies to make a battery, Joel tells me as I nod in agreement. The two of us look around, and sure enough, there was enough supplies to make a whole new car battery. We then start making the truck battery and left it to charge. The two of us then head back inside and find Ellie still sitting at the table. Show me your arm, Joel tells Ellie as she stood to her feet and rolled up her sleeve. What I saw was unlike anything I've ever seen. This girl is truly a miracle. No infection, just scars. We just finished making a truck battery. It's charging right now, Joel informs her. Okay. Ellie nods. Okay, she says as she rolls down her sleeve. And I have a brother out in Wyoming. He's in some kind of trouble, and we're heading out there to find him. used to be a firefly, and may, and my guess he knows where some of them are out there. Maybe they can get you to wherever this lab is. Joel continues. Alright. Listen, about Tess, she starts to say, but Joel stops her. I swallow hard as I look at Joel. I knew from the get-go that he didn't really like Ellie all that much, but I knew Tess would be a touchy subject for him now more than ever. We're taking you with us, there's some rules you gotta follow, he tells her. Joel, I speak up, but he only gives me a look and I let him continue. Rule 1. You don't bring up Tess. Ever. Matter of fact, we can just keep our history to ourselves. Rule 2. You don't tell anyone about your condition. They see that bite mark, they won't think it through. They'll just shoot you. Rule 3. You do what we say when we say it. We clear? He asks her. Yes, Ellie replies. Repeat it, he tells her. What you say goes. What the two of you say goes, she says. Joel then looks at me and I nod as he takes a deep breath. Okay, he says. So what now? Ellie asks. We should probably take a look in the bunker. Grab what we can, I'll reply as Joel nods in agreement. The three of us then make our own way down into the basement of the house, turning on the lights to reveal an array of weapons and gear. Holy shit, I hear Ellie say behind us. This guy was a genius, she says as me and Joel look through the monitors and shut off the 80s music that was playing. Why was the music playing? She asks. If he didn't reset the countdown every few weeks, this playlist would run over the radio, Joel explains. Ellie then walks over to take a look herself. 80s. Hey, you can start packing up some of the cans back there. Pack as many as you can, okay? I tell Ellie. Nothing dented or swollen, Joel adds as we continue to look through the cameras and gear. Ellie then walks past the wall of guns. Guys. No, me and Joel say at the same time. There's a wall of them, she states as the two of us just look at her. Ellie then goes to start packing up whatever supplies she could. As time goes on, we were able to stock up on supplies from toilet paper to fresh clothes. I was very glad and appreciative of everything we were fortunate to get. Not many people are this well off. Soon, we all go out to the garage to check on the battery, and I hear a sigh from Joel when he checks the charger. Joel? I ask softly. Needs another hour, Joel replies sadly. I sigh softly as I look over to see Ellie at the sink in the corner. They have hot water, she says excitedly. I'm taking a shower, and then the two of you are showering because seriously, she adds as she walks out of the garage and back into the house. I chuckle softly and shake my head as I look back to Joel. He's right, you do kind of smell, he says. You're one to talk, I say as I playfully shove him. Hey, don't shoot the messenger, he says with a chuckle, although I don't mind the idea of taking a shower together, and continues with a smirk. Are you implying what I think you're implying? I ask with a quirked eyebrow. I mean, we could save hot water that way. His smirk widens. Save hot water my ass. I'm sure you can survive a shower without me. Besides, wouldn't want Ellie hearing us, I say as I wrap my arms around him. Excuses, he says as he wraps me up in a hug, and I chuckle as I hug him back. You can be so annoying sometimes, you know? Oh, I know, but I know you love it, he says with a smirk as he kisses my cheek. As time goes on, the three of us get showered and put on some fresh clothes that we had found in the closet earlier. Me and Joel come down the stairs to find Ellie standing in the dining room. Well, don't you two look pretty, she says with a smile. Shut up, Joel says as he tosses her some deodorant. I of course chuckle at the banter between the two of them. With as much as Joel doesn't like Ellie, I find it very amusing when they bicker. Nice, Ellie says as she applies the deodorant to her underarms. The three of us then head out to the truck. With this being Ellie's first time in a truck, I decided to let her have the front seat while Joel drives. He of course gives me a glare, but I just smile at him as I get into the back. Once in the truck, Ellie quickly starts looking around, taking in the space. I smile softly as I watch her mess around with stuff. "It's your first time in a car?" Joel asks her. "It's like a spaceship," she replies with a hint of excitement. "No, it's like a piece of shit Chevy S10, Joel states. "Hey, it's not a piece of shit if it survived this long," I point out with a smirk. "No, it's still a piece of shit," Joel retorts. "But it'll get us there, I think." "You think but don't know?" I ask. "Oh, shut up. Seat belts," he replies as Ellie looks at him, not knowing what he's talking about. Joel then sweetly reaches over and grabs the seatbelt to show her. "Seatbelt," he says as Ellie takes it with a smile. "So cool," she says. I chuckle softly as I buckle up myself and get comfortable in the seat. Joel then cranks up the truck and starts to pull out of the garage as Ellie opens up the glove box and finds a tape. "Would you leave it?" Joel asks her. "Cut her some slack, Joel. It's her first time in a car," I remind him. He then wiggles the tape in front of his face and puts it into the player. "Put it back," Joel tells her. But does she listen? No. "Ellie," he warns her, but as she puts in the tape and the music starts to play, Ellie going to mess with it again. "Oh no, wait, no, leave it. Leave it. Oh, this is good. This is Linda Rodstadt." "Oh, heck yeah, I loved her," I spoke up. "Do you know who that is, Ellie?" I ask her. "You know I don't know who Linda Ronstadt is," she replies. "Oh man," Joel says as he looks at her. It's better than nothing," Ellie says. I smile softly as I look out the window and continue to listen to Long, Long Time. Such a beautiful song. While listening to the song, I think back on everything that had happened over the last few days. I think about Tess, Bill, Frank, then about Ellie and Joel. So much has happened in so little time. I'm just happy that now we can hopefully rest, at least for a while. Hours go by in our journey across the states. We've had to stop every hour to find fuel for the truck. I didn't mind it all that much, seeing as it's kinda cramped in the back seat of the truck. Me and Ellie would even swap seats, which was nice. Joel refuses to let me drive. What a gentleman he is, right? We eventually come across an abandoned gas station and stop to find fuel. Me and Ellie decide to go use the bathroom. It was obviously bad with the overgrowth, but it's a place we could relieve ourselves, so I wasn't complaining. When I finish, Ellie goes after me. "I'll wait for you outside with Joel, okay?" I tell her. "Alright, nothing bad will come in here, right?" she asks me. "Nope, just you," I tell her. Wow, you two are made for each other. Have the same humor and everything. I chuckle and smile as I step out of the restroom and go to find Joel trying to siphon out gas from the cars. "Any luck?" I ask him. "So far, no. I'm sure at least one of these will have some gas. Where's Ellie?" "She's using the bathroom now. Even made the comment that we were made for each other due to our sense of humor." "Oh yeah? Why is that?" He asked if anything bad would come in there, and I said only her. I hear a soft chuckle come from him, and that made me smile a bit. He was cold when Ellie was around, but I'm glad he's still himself with me at least. Ellie then comes out to us as Joel puts the siphon in the next car. "We have to do this every hour?" she asks. "Gas breaks down over time. This stuff's almost water," Joel explains to her. "Yeah, back then we could drive 10 to 12 hours on a full tank. You could go anywhere, really," I added. "So where'd you guys go?" she asks. "Pretty much nowhere," Joel says as he blows into the tube and out the other came gas. "Nice! How does that work?" she asks with genuine curiosity. "It's a siphon," Joel tells her as they look at each other, Ellie giving him a look to tell her more. "Oh, this will be good." "It's when liquid travels against gravity because pressure," Joel starts to say. You don't know, she says. I know it works, Joel says as I snicker a bit and he looks at me. What, think you can explain it better? Oh, I know I can, but your explanation was so good I wouldn't want to ruin it, I say with a smirk. Oh, by all means, go ahead, Joel challenges me as Ellie looks at me. I smirk as I look to Ellie. It's all simple physics. It's all simple physics having to do with pressure. So you have the tank here that's filled with liquid, and it's also enclosed. In the tank, there is high pressure. So when you put the two tubes in the tank and put in a low pressure of air, it allows liquid to travel up to the surface, I explain. I should have asked you from the start. That's really cool, Ellie says with a smile as Joel rolls his eyes. I tried to tell you, Joel, I say with a smile. Yeah, smartass, he says with a smirk himself. He then looks to see that Ellie was starting to wander off. Hey, no wondering, he tells her as she turns, giving him a look. Okay, she says as she takes off her backpack. Then this is your fault then, she tells him as she takes out a book. This had me a bit skeptical for a moment. Ellie then opens it up. It doesn't matter how much you push the envelope, it'll still be stationary, she says as she looks up with a big grin and laughs softly, showing us the cover of the book. No pun intended. Volume 2 by Will Livingston. Volume 2. You get it? She asks as she shows it to me and Joel. T-O-O. 2, like T-O-O. Jesus, Joel says as he stood and leaned against the car, and I snicker. What's another one, Ellie? I ask as Joel shoots me a glare. Okay, what did the mermaid wear to her math class? She asked me. I think for a moment. I don't know. What? She snickers. An algebra! I smile softly and chuckle as I nod in approval. I stayed up all night, Ellie starts. No, Joel says, but she keeps going. Wondering where the sun went. And then it dawned on me, she says with a big smile and laugh. Feel free to wait in the truck, he says as he nods the truck. Okay, but just know, you can't escape Will Livingston. He'll be back. There's nothing you can do to stop him, she says as she puts the book back in her bag and walks back over to the truck. I chuckle softly as I look at Joel, and he looks at me. You need to loosen up a little bit, I say as I move closer to him. Oh, really? Why is that? He asks as he wraps his arm around my waist. I smile as I wrap my arms around his neck. He's at least trying to release the tension here, lighten the mood. We could be in way worse situation. He sighs softly and nods in agreement. I know, he says as the siphon finishes up. I'll go get in the truck. It's my turn to sit up front too, I say as I kiss his cheek and then walk back to the truck. Before we knew it, we were back on the road. Allow me to be brief. That's a good one, Cauldron. That's a good one. Alright, you guys. Chapter 10. Are we ready for this? Are we ready for this? Are we ready for this? I don't even know. Is Pookie back? Pookie, are you back? We're getting closer to the new chapters, and I want you to hear the new chapters. I don't know if they're here. Or actually, we're on the new chapters if they haven't read chapter 10 yet. Don't know. Cauldron, you're supposed to know these things. Alright. Chapter 10. Alright. As we pull out of the abandoned gas station, Ellie asks about how all of the cars were moved out of the way. Must have been some truck, she says. Yeah, they used big-ass plows on them, and then clear the roads for their tanks and such, Joel says as he kept looking in the rearview mirror at her. Ellie quickly turns around. I want to see a tank, she says excitedly. You will eventually. No telling where, though, I speak up as I relax in the passenger seat. I then hear Ellie sit back down in her seat. Tanks, choppers, all that stuff. But they'll fight the wrong enemy. Oh, wait a minute, hold on. Back up. I then hear Ellie sit back down in her seat. Tanks, choppers, all that stuff. But they'll fight the wrong enemy. Just scatter around now, Joel says. I hear Ellie fiddle around in the back seat until she pulls out yet another tape. I got something, she says as she leans forward to show us. Here, this make you all nostalgic? She asks as Joel takes the tape. Oh my gosh, it's a Hank Williams tape, I say with a chuckle. This is actually before our time, Joel says. Great, Ellie says as she sits back. It's a winner, though, Joel says as he puts in the tape and turns up the volume. The music starts to play, and I see him relax a bit. Oh man, he says with a soft smile forming. I chuckle softly as I watch him. I wasn't one for this type of music, but I heard it a lot from my dad, surprisingly enough. I then hear Ellie rummaging around in the back once more, and I look to see that she has some kind of magazine. Got something else, she says as she opens it up. It's light on the reading, but it has some interesting pictures. She continues as she flips through it. No, put that back. That's not for kids, Ellie, Joel says as Ellie opens it up even more. Would he even walk around with that thing? She asks in shock as I chuckle. Okay, now I have to see. Show me, I tell her as she leans forward and shows me. Holy shit, you're right, that thing is huge. Please get rid of it, Ray, don't encourage her, Joel says as Ellie leans back in the seat. Hold your horses, I want to see what all the fuss is about, Ellie says as she continues looking through the magazine. There was a pause before she spoke up again. Why are all these pages stuck together? She asks. I try not to laugh as I look over at Joel, who had a dumbfounded expression. He tries to say. I'm just fucking with you, she says with a laugh as she rolls down the window and throws out the magazine. Bye-bye, dude! I sat in my seat chuckling as Joel looks over at me. It's not funny, Ray, he tells me. Oh, yes it is, I say with a giggle as he rolls his eyes. As time passes by, we go through many areas on our journey. Ellie even got to see her tank, but she didn't seem too enthusiastic about it than she was earlier. It was starting to get dark, and I slowly woke up from my nap. I look up to see Joel glancing at me in the rearview mirror. What time is it, Joel? I ask as I rub my eyes. About 7 p.m. I think this is enough for today, he says as he pulls off the road and into an open field going into the woods. He gets the truck parked and we all get out and start making camp for the night. This would be the first time I've done this in a long time. We get the camp set up and Joel gets out the portable grill stuff to start cooking us all something to eat. He cooked me and him some meat and beans while he cooked Ellie a can of raviolis. I sat and watched him cook while Ellie stayed nearby, trying to entertain herself. I smile softly to myself as I watch him cook. What? Never seen a man cook before? Joel asked me with a smirk. Oh, ha. I've just never seen you cook before. It was always either me or Tess. I reply with a soft chuckle as Joel smiles softly back at me. Hey, I used to grill a mean hamburger and steak before the world went to shit, Joel says with a smirk. Yeah, I'll believe it when I see it, I reply with a smirk on my own face. Joel rolls his eyes as he continues cooking our supper. Soon enough, he finished up the cooking and had Ellie come over so we could all eat. As we ate, Ellie, of course, was just scarfing down her food like she was a vacuum cleaner. Slow down, Joel speaks up. This is slow, Ellie says as she continues to eat. Maybe you're just slow, Joel. I say as I eat, Joel giving me a glare as I smirk. What am I even eating? Ellie asked. You're asking that after you start eating it? I ask her with a raised eyebrow. I was hungry, Ellie replies. That is 20-year-old Chef Boyardee ravioli, Joel says, answering her question. That guy was good, Ellie replies. I actually agree, Joel says. I second that. I lived off of it for the most part when I was in college. That and those cup of noodle things. Remember those, Joel? I ask. Oh yeah, I remember, he replies to me. There was then a pause of silence before Ellie spoke up again. How long are we staying out here? Ellie asked. I figure I sleep tonight and drive tomorrow all night, get us to Wyoming by next morning, Joel replies. You wouldn't have to do that if you would just let me drive, I spoke up. Not a chance in hell, Joel replies. And why the hell not? I ask. Do you even know where to go? Joel asked. We have a map for a reason, for one thing, I reply. Still a no, Joel says as I sigh and just continue eating. So, can we start a fire? I'm freezing, Ellie asks. Now, why am I gonna tell you no? Joel asks her. Because infected will see the smoke, Ellie replies. Oh, fungus isn't that smart. This is too remote for infected aim, Joel says. People? Ellie asks as Joel nods in confirmation. People can be just as dangerous as infected, or even more so. People will do anything to survive these days, which is why we must be careful, I say as I finish eating. So what will they do? Rob us? Ellie asks. They'll have way more in mind than that, Joel replies as Ellie nods in understanding. Okay, she says. Once we finish eating, I start to clean up our plates and such, packing it all back up in the truck for the night. As I was doing so, Joel comes up to me and leans against the truck as Ellie was off trying to entertain herself. You're not mad at me, are you? Joel asked me. Why would I be mad at you? I ask him as I don't look at him. Because of the whole me not letting you drive thing, he says. I sigh and as I look at him. I'm not mad. I just wish you would let me help and not shut me out. I'm not shutting you out, he says. No, then why won't you let me help? Do you think I can't handle it or something? Do you think I'm not capable? That's not it at all, Ray. Then what is it, Joel? Ray, you have been through a lot. I'm just trying to protect you is all. From what? I can handle myself, Joel. I'm not some little girl like Ellie. You have to look after. I'm not some little girl like Ellie you have to look after. I'm 48 years old, for Christ's sake. Ah, now I know how old she is. Okay. I know. I just don't want anything happening to you either. I don't want to lose you, too. Being in control like this brings me comfort, if that makes any sense. I sigh softly as I take his hands into mine. Yes, it makes sense. He sighs softly as well as he squeezes my hands. I don't want anything to happen to you, especially now. I promised Tess that I would protect you, and damn it, I will until my dying breath. I swallow hard and tear up as I wrap my arms around him in a hug, hugging him tightly as he does the same with me. Time passes as it is now late at night. We had a small lantern on for a bit of light as we got ready for bed. Ellie lays out her sleeping bag as me and Joel lay out ours next to each other. It actually smells kinda good, Ellie says as she sniffs her sleeping bag. I chuckle softly. That must have been Frank's then. Bill wasn't one for the smell good stuff, I reply as Ellie gets settled into her sleeping bag. Me and Joel get settled in next to each other. I'm checking his gun before settling into his sleeping bag. We laid facing each other as Ellie cuts off the lantern, and we were then surrounded by darkness. Only the moon and stars offering us light. I noticed Ellie reading her book, and I smile softly before looking back at Joel and into his eyes. He stares back at me with just a hint of a smile, and he reaches out and takes hold of my hand. Ray! Joel! Ellie calls out to us, but I was in too much of a daze to hear her. I think Joel was too, until she says our names again. Ray! Joel! What? Joel speaks up first as he turns a bit. Can I ask you guys a serious question? Ellie asks. Yeah, Joel replies. It was silent for a moment before Ellie spoke up again. Why did the Scarecrow get an award? She asks. I chuckle softly as I watch Joel turn so he could look at her. I knew the answer, and I had a feeling Joel did too, and he was about to wreck her world. Because he was outstanding in his field, Joel replies. Ellie giggles as she sits up. You dick, she says as I chuckle softly, and Joel turns back to face me. Did you read this? She asks. No, Joel replies as I see him smile a bit, and I smile back with a wink. Go to sleep, he says to her. Spooky's back! About damn time. In a minute, I'ma need a sentimental man or woman to pump me up. Even if I see you walking in my Felicia's teeth, trying to be a We're on chapter 10. Literally, the next 2 chapters will be the new chapters. So you came back just in time. Are you not in an ad? Okay. I thought you were in an ad. Alright. I move a bit closer to Joel as we take hold of each other's hand again. After a few moments, Ellie speaks up again. Those people you guys said. There's no way anyone knows we're here, right? Ellie asks. No one's gonna find us. Joel squeezes my hand before he replies. No one's gonna find us. He replies to her as I nod to him and squeeze his hand back. Okay, Ellie says in a satisfied tone before turning over and facing away from us. Me and Joel look at each other and have a silent conversation. I give him a nod as I get up, grabbing the rifle next to him and moving to stand guard. I could tell he wanted to stop me, but I of course gave him the look that told him to sleep while he could. After a few hours of guarding, I sensed Joel coming up behind me, and he placed his hand on my back. I can take over now. Go get some sleep, he whispers to me. You're the one driving tomorrow. You need more sleep than I do, I retort. No argument. Please. Fine, he says as I sigh and hand him the rifle as I turn to look at him. Wake me if you need me, okay? I say seriously as he nods. I nod back and kiss his cheek before going back over to my sleeping bag and settling in, falling asleep for the night. The next morning Sue came and I slowly wake up to the smell of coffee? I open my eyes and turn over to see Joel messing around in the truck. In front of me was a boiling pot of coffee. I get up and slowly make my way over to Joel, wrapping my arms around his middle from behind. Morning, I speak softly. Morning. Sleep okay? He asked me. As well as anyone can on a hard ground in a sleeping bag. You're fixing coffee? Yeah, I figured it'd be good since we didn't get much sleep. I then hear Ellie from behind us open up the coffee pot. Oh, what the fuck is that? She exclaimed as I chuckle, me and Joel turning to her. You don't like coffee? Joel asks her as she shakes her head, closing the pot and rolling back over to sleep. I shake my head as I watch her and look back up at Joel. I'll take that as a no, but I will more than happily have some. Alright, chapter 11! Oh man, this is one of the new chapters, Pookie. Are you ready for this? I don't think you are, because this is in Joel's POV. Are you ready, Pookie? Are you ready for Joel's point of view? That means that means the chapter will be from his perspective rather than Ray's. perspective. So we've swapped to Joel's perspective. Yeah! Yeah! Yeah, I thought it was a cool idea, so I did it. Alright, so you ready, Pookie? Chapter 11, Joel's Point of View. After we got all packed up and ready to go, the three of us hit the road. The kid in front, much to my dismay, and Ray in the back. As I got to driving, I looked in the rearview mirror to see that Ray had quickly fallen asleep, her hair shaping her face perfectly and making her look so peaceful, so vulnerable. I'll be damned if something happened to her. This girl has surprised me more times than I can count, but I can't deny how amazing she is. She's had a lot happen over the last few days, and she's been nothing but a trooper through it all. I, of course, have been grieving along with her, but with her by my side, it's been easier to get through it. If anything happens to her, I don't know what I'd do. I come back to the land of the living after a moment and take a sip of my coffee out of my thermos. Is that seriously what those Starbucks in the QZ used to sell? Ellie pipes up as she watches the road. Well, theirs was a lot fresher than what Bill saved up, but yeah, this is what they sold. I replied as I noticed her looking over at the thermos, then back at the road. Smells like burnt shit, Ellie quips back as she looks back at me, and I take yet another sip of the coffee, and then look at her for a moment. Eyes on the map, I tell her, looking back at the road. Why did Ray have to put her up front with me? I then see her look back at the map, looking to see where we need to go. If I'm being honest with myself, she's not a bad kid. Even if she is, well, her. Ray seems to have some kind of, I don't know, love for her, I guess, is the word. Then again, they have history, and we're already sort of close. With them having that relationship, I suppose it puts me at ease a bit. 76 West, and then 70 West for, like, ever. Where in Wyoming did you say your brother was? Ellie asked, bringing me back. Last contact came through a radio tower close to Cody. I tell her as I glance from her to the road, then the rearview mirror to check on Ray, still sound asleep. Cody, Ellie says as she looks through the map. Cody, aw man, that's deep up in there. That's what she said. I hear from Ray from the back seat softly. God damn that woman. That's what she said? Ellie asked, a little confused. Don't worry about it. Yes, Cody is pretty far into Wyoming, I say as I look to see Ray having a smirk added to her face. That little. I take a breath. She just knows how to get under my skin. If I could bottle that smirk, I'd be dangerous. Alright, and if your brother isn't in Cody? Ellie asked me. Then odds are he'll be near a settlement, probably close to another city out there. Ain't too many of 'em in Wyoming, I reply to her. Cheyenne. I hear her trying to pronounce something. Didn't this girl go to school? I look over at the map. Cheyenne, I tell her. Really? She asks as she looks at me, and I glance at her and nod before looking back at the road. Cheyenne, Laramie, Casper. What's his name? Ellie asks as I hear Ray softly chuckle in the back. I'm so going to kill her for this. Whose name? I ask Ellie. Your brother, she replies. I take a deep breath as I try to control myself. Tommy, I tell her. Now that I think about it, it's been so long since I've heard his voice. I don't even know how long it's been since that last radio call. Days, weeks, months maybe? Damn. He was always stubborn though. Runs in the family, I guess. I glance back at the mirror at Ray again, still half asleep. Lips curled just slightly as if she knows how Ellie's questioning is bothering me. Her and Tess both knew Tommy. I wondered what she remembers about him. I remember her even helping him when he was a firefly ever so often. when people got hurt or needed medical attention. She would do anything to help people. I love that about her, but sometimes it gets her in trouble. I just hope to God that he's still out there, and that nothing's happened to him. Younger or older? She asked, bringing me out of my thoughts. Younger, I reply. Why isn't he with you? She asks. Ellie, don't pester him. A grumpy Joel is not good for either of us. I hear Ray from the back. I glance back to look at her, her eyes still closed, still trying to get some extra sleep. Damn this woman. I feel like I can't ever be mad at her. She grounds me, even when she's half asleep and giving me hell from the back seat. Oh, come on! Looking at this map, we have like 25 hours, Ellie says. I look back at Ray and then to Ellie. I suppose we have some time. Might as well try to talk through it, I guess. Tommy's what we used to call a joiner. Dreams of becoming a hero. So, he enlisted in the army right out of high school. A few months later, they ship him off to Desert Storm. I tell her, as she gives me a weird look. It's what they called the war, it doesn't matter, I explain. Point is, being in the army, didn't make him feel much like a hero. Cut to 12 years later, outbreak happens. He convinces me to join a group making their way up to Boston, which I did, mostly to keep an eye on him, keep him alive. It's where we met Tess and that one in the back seat, I say as I glance back and see Ray smiling softly. I then take a sip of my coffee once more. And that whole crew, well, for what it was, it worked. And then Tommy meets Marlene. She talks him into joining the Fireflies. Same mistake he made when he was 18. Wants to save the world, pipe dream. Him, Fireflies, all of them delusional. I say as I glance down at my coffee thermos and then back up to see Ray looking at me in the mirror. Damn it. There it was, that look. Like I had just slapped her with my words. She of course didn't want to save the world, and I knew that. But I did know that she wants to help people. I then see her look away and close her eyes once more. Now I felt bad, though I just moved on and continued talking. Of course, last I heard, he quit the Fireflies too, so now he's on his own out there, and I gotta go get him. I say as I take a sip of my coffee once. You don't think there's hope for the world, then why bother going on? Ellie asks. I mean, you gotta try, right? That question caught me off guard a bit. Thing is, I've had those thoughts before. I've never told anyone, not even Ray. You haven't seen the world, so you don't know, I replied to her. You keep going for family. That's about it. Ray stirs in the back seat, shifts under the blanket. I don't know if she heard that, but it's the truth. Family's the only reason I'm still breathing. I'm not family, Ellie says. No, you're cargo. And I made a promise to Tess. She was like family, I say. Her and Ray both. What if you don't find him? She asks me. I will, I reply. How do you know? She asks. I'm persistent, I reply. You got up early if you want to grab more sleep. Psh, I'm not even tired, Ellie replies. She leans her head against the window. I say nothing, just keep driving. Because the second I stop, I'll start thinking too much. She goes quiet after that, and after a few minutes I hear her breathing shift, soft and even. Kid's asleep. I glance at the mirror again. Ray still got her eyes shut, but I can tell she's not sleeping anymore. You awake? I murmur. She hums low and tired. Unfortunately, I keep my eyes on the road. You hear all that? Enough. Another beat of silence. Didn't mean to piss you off. I say real low. Back there when I said all that stuff about the Fireflies. She opens up her eyes slowly. You didn't piss me off, Joel. A pause. You just reminded me why I care. Stay quiet for a beat, staring at the road out at the road ahead, the lines blurring in the late morning light. Thing is, I say slowly. I finally say, voice low. I said you keep going for family. I glance back at her in the mirror. You think I don't know what that means? Ray doesn't say anything, but the look she gives me is soft, steady. She knows. I exhale the kind of breath that's got too much weight behind it. Just don't know if I got enough left to be that for anybody. You don't have to try so hard, says gently. You already are. And hell if that doesn't hit me square in the chest. Everything goes quiet after that. Kid and Ray are asleep and I'm alone with my thoughts, which I hate. But at the same time it allows me to have some time to myself. I think about everything that's happened so far and I'm just not sure how to process it all. Losing Tess and seeing Ray now left with no blood family. Finding out about Bill and Frank. And now this. I just hope to get to Wyoming soon. Ray's point of view. I wake up to us hitting a bump in the road. My head jerks forward slightly and I let out a soft hum as I rub the tiredness from my eyes, trying to get my bearings. I look around outside the truck to see that we've made it to some city. The highway was all jammed up with cars. I am surprised we are able to drive through this mess. I then notice that Ellie was awake now too as she looks back at me. I give her a nod of reassurance before she turns back around. We then get to the way we need to go, only for it to be blocked by an 18-wheeler. From where I was sitting, there was no way around. Joel stops the truck, putting it in park before cutting off the engine. Stay put, he tells Ellie. Ray, come with me to check this out, he says as I nod. He opens the door, grabbing his rifle, me following out and closing the door behind me. I take out my pistol, ready for anything, as we both nod to each other and move forward to check out the blockage. As we move forward, we both look around to keep an eye out for people, or even infected. What do you think, Joel? I ask. I'm not sure. I didn't expect this, though, he says as we continue on. Yeah, me either. When we get to the blockage, and he crouches down. What do you see? I ask. It's all clear on the other side, but there's no way through. Damn it. Then what do we do? Well, we either have to backtrack and go a different way, or go through the city. And which city is this? Kansas City, he says as he stood up and looked at me. I sigh softly as I look at him. It's your call. There's a risk here or a safe bet. You're scared? Of course I'm scared. We're in a city we know nothing about, and we don't even know what's here. So yeah, I'm a bit scared. He then places a gentle hand on my shoulder. We'll be okay, Ray. Promise. I take a deep breath and nod as I feel reassured by his touch and words. When we then head back to the truck. Ellie's hunched over the map when we get back, tracing her finger along the roads like she's trying to summon a shortcut from thin air. Where are we? She asks. Kansas City, Joel replies, as he looks at the map, and I get back in the back seat with the rifle. Joel takes the map from her, and I glance over his shoulder to get a look too. How far back do you think we have to go, Joel? I ask him. He looks at me in the rearview mirror, and I knew by the look in his eye that we weren't going to do the safest option. Screw it, he says as he starts back up the truck and goes to turn it around. What are you doing? Ellie asks him. We can jog around this tunnel, take the next ramp, and we're back on the road. Minute tops, he replies. This is risky, Joel, I warn him. If we were to backtrack, we'll be adding another day or two to our trip. This is a risk I'm willing to take, he says confidently. I believe this was the first time I couldn't argue with his logic. It was a risk, but in this world, what wasn't? Okay, Pookie. I need your thoughts. I need your thoughts. While I take a drink of water. Of course he is. Oh, but Pookie, you're not ready for this chapter. You're not ready for this next one. Because you know what happens. I'm glad you're loving it, though. You know what happens next, Pookie. You know what happens next. Alright. Chapter 12. As we started our way through the streets of Kansas City, we, of course, got very lost. Where the fuck is the highway? Joel growled, his eyes scanning the streets as Ellie frantically flipped the map around. I can't tell from this. I'm all turned around, she snapped, holding the map sideways as if she might make more sense from a different angle. Don't look at the state map, look at the inset, Joel told her. I don't know where we are in that either, she huffed. This is my second day in a fucking car, man. I reached forward, placing a hand on both of their shoulders. All right, let me have a look, I say calmly, taking the map from Ellie. My eyes scanned it quickly, trying to find any familiar street signs. I think we're heading north, actually. It's gotta be to the right. What the fuck? Joel muttered, squinting at the road ahead. I think it's to the left, I countered, just as Ellie suddenly shouted, Stop! Is that the QZ? Me and Joel both looked left, and sure enough, a deserted Fedra checkpoint sat ahead, still and grim. The fences were half collapsed, the guard booth empty. It looked like a ghost town. Where the fuck is Fedra? Ellie asked, voice laced with unease. That's when we heard it. A man stumbling out from behind a wrecked truck up ahead, holding his side. Please, help! The man shouted. Joel instantly tensed. Put your seatbelt on, he said. It wasn't a request. I snapped mine into place. What are you gonna do? You too, Ray, he said, not answering me. Ellie fumbled with hers. Aren't we gonna help him? No. Joel's voice was flat, cold. Joel, what are you going to do? I asked again, heart pounding, but he was already stepping on the gas. Joel! Me and Ellie shouted as the truck lunged forward. The man barely had any time to react before we sped towards him. But it wasn't just him. A chunk of cinder block came flying down from above and shattered the windshield, obscuring Joel's vision. Shit! Before we could blink, the tires blew. Nail strips. The truck swerved violently, careening out of control. Careening out of control. Gunfire exploded from the left. I barely had time to register the man with the bat in the middle of the street before Joel turned hard, the tires screaming as we smashed through the front of some kind of old shop. Metal and glass twisted around us. My shoulders slammed into the seat. Ellie screamed. Joel cursed as we wrestled the truck to stop. And just like that, we were in it. You two okay? Joel asked. Yeah, Ellie and I replied at the same time, both of us clearly shaken. You're not hurt, nothing? He pressed. I don't think so, Ellie answered. And when he looked back at me, I shook my head. The gunfire started. Belts off, flash! Joel barked. Of course mine was stuck. Joel, mine is stuck! I shouted, struggling with it as Joel and Ellie slipped out the right side of the truck. Thank God I was sitting on that side too. Joel opened the door, keeping low. It's okay, just stay down and hand me the rifle. I nodded, passed it to him, my hands trembling. He placed a reassuring hand on my thigh, squeezed it gently, and then shut the door. I dropped down, practically curling into myself, trying to breathe through the panic. My heart was pounding so hard I could feel it in my throat. I didn't think I'd ever been this scared before, though maybe I've said that before too many times now. Gunfire cracked just outside. I flinched, hands flying to cover my ears. I stayed down, my head below the dashboard, unable to make myself look. I then felt it, hot, wet, running down my back. Blood. Shit. I'd been hit, somewhere near my shoulder. I didn't even feel it at first, with just the warmth, adrenaline. I knew the pain would hit soon. The shots finally stopped. Silence. No, not silence. Footsteps. Glass crunching outside. Then another gunshot. I lifted my head just slightly, just enough to peek out the window. Joel was moving, checking his gun, but it jammed. I saw the panic flash across his face. And then a man burst through the back door. Another shot went off, but it missed. Joel tried to fight, but the man tackled him, pinning him hard. "Joel!" I screamed, yanking at the damn seatbelt again, pain flaring in my shoulder, still stuck. I could hear them struggling just out of sight. Joel's boots scuffed across the floor, legs kicking. The man was choking him. My blood ran cold. No, 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 no. I can't lose him. Not like this. Then I saw her, Ellie, sneaking out from the wall, gun in hand. Where the hell did she get that? Shot echoed louder than I expected. Ellie had fired. The man collapsed. The man collapsed off of Joel. The pain in my shoulder finally hit me full force, and I let out a low groan. My fingers were sticky with blood. I managed to pop the door open. "Joel," I called out weakly. He stood up slowly, eyes locking with mine, and I saw it. The fear, the rage. Then the moment his gaze dropped to my shoulder, and he realized I'd been shot. His eyes darkened. The man Ellie shot was still alive, crying, begging. He tossed his knife aside and pleaded for his life. Joel didn't blink. He picked up the knife, took the pistol from Ellie. "Get back behind the wall," he told her flatly. Then he turned to me. "Look away." I nodded and turned my head just as the man screamed for his mother. Then silence. Only the wet sounds of Joel doing what had to be done. A few seconds passed. I felt his hand on my good shoulder. "Where?" he asked, voice tight. "Shot. Left shoulder. It's bleeding pretty bad," I said through gritted teeth. He didn't hesitate. He cut me free from the belt, then pulled me gently into his arms. I let out a breath I didn't even know I was holding as I wrapped my good arm around him. I held onto him tightly, tears slipping silently down my cheeks. We were okay. This part was over. I could finally breathe. Joel gently helped me out of the truck, grabbing our bags on the way. "Let's get out of sight," he said, his eyes scanning the area before looking towards the wall Ellie had gone through. "Ellie, that hole isn't big enough for us to fit through. Ray's hurt pretty bad." He helped him slide my bag onto my good shoulder. "There's some stuff against the door," Ellie called back. "Can you move it?" Joel asked, steadying me as we made our way to the door. After a few seconds, the door opened and Joel helped me through. Together with Ellie, he shoved the heavy metal desk back into place behind us. I tried to sit down, but Joel stopped me gently. "No, no, no, baby. We gotta keep moving, okay?" he murmured, keeping one hand on me. Wait, did he just call me baby? I didn't have the energy to react, but my chest ached in a whole different way. Joel turned to Ellie. "You okay?" "I'm okay. I'm good," she said quickly, already picking through her backpack. I got some food still, and I've got your light." Joel took the flashlight from her, giving her a small nod. "Now what?" she asked, slinging her bag back over her shoulder. "We go up," he said simply, glancing toward the stairwell door. He turned back to me, his hand coming to rest gently on my cheek. His eyes scanned mine, worried, intense. I must have looked like shit. "You get a better look?" Ellie asked. Hopefully we can spot a clear route out, Joel replied before pushing open the stairwell door to take a quick glance. We got a long trek up, Ray, he said as he came back over. Think you can make it? I leaned heavier against the wall. Don't think I have a choice. Can't stay here. Come on, he said softly. I'll help you. He got in my good arm around his neck, his other arm slipping around my waist. We moved together, slow and quiet, step by step. We make it up to the ground floor, the three of us moving slow and quiet. We ducked down behind a car as we heard a vehicle rumble by outside. Men shouting something about finding the bodies. My heart was pounding all over again. Joel let go of me for a moment, creeping forward to check a nearby door. He glanced back and gave a small nod. Clear. I gave Ellie a nudge to go first. She slipped ahead, quick and quiet. I took a deep breath, trying to summon what little strength I had left. Somehow I moved. Joel was there in an instant, steadying me as we pushed through the door and slipped safe inside. Safe. For now. We were able to make it into a safe place for now. It was in some kind of bar, I think. I didn't know, nor did I care, since I was in so much pain. I had to show Ellie how to get the bullet out of my shoulder and stitch me up with a spare needle and thread from a medical kit I had in my bag. They're not Fedra, and they're not fireflies, so who are they? Ellie asked as she works on my shoulder carefully. I don't know, but they're definitely not friendly by the looks of it, I say before I wince a bit. Sorry, Ray, Ellie says as she continues. It's okay, I say faintly with a smile. People, Joel says. That's dangerous in itself. Are we okay in here? Ellie asks as she finishes up, helping to wrap my shoulder in gauze. For a little bit, maybe, he replies as he turns to look at me from looking out the window. How are you holding up? He asks as he makes his way over to me. I'll be okay. Some rest will do me good, but that doesn't seem to be an option right now. So what's the play here? I ask as I look up at him. Well, it looks like they're checking out apartment buildings first. He pauses as he shakes his head, but they'll be coming through these places soon enough. He finishes as he sits down next to me for a moment. Ellie then looks out the window herself. There's a really tall building like 4 blocks away, she points out. Yeah, I saw it, Joel says. So that's the one? Ellie asks. As soon as we don't hear a truck, we move, he says as he then looks back to me. That'll give you some time to rest. But when the time comes, we'll have to move quickly, I tell them. These guys don't play. Joel nods as Ellie takes a seat on the floor now. Are you doing okay, Joel? You scared me back there, I ask him. I'm alright, he replies. I then look to Ellie. What about you, kiddo? I ask her. Yeah, she replies back as I nod. There was a moment of silence before Joel let out a sigh and shook his head. Thing is, I didn't hear that guy coming. He pauses for a moment as he looks to Ellie. You shouldn't have had to, you know. Well, you're glad I did, right? She asks him. You're just a kid. You shouldn't know what it means to... It's not like you killed him. Shooting, or... He lets out a sigh. I know what it's like, and so does Ray. First time that you hurt someone like that. Wow. I knew exactly what he meant. That weight doesn't go away. You just learn to carry it. He pauses again. I'm not good at this. No, you really aren't, Ellie says. I mean, it was my fault. You shouldn't have had to. A pause. And I'm sorry, he tells her. I gently take hold of Joel's hand and lay my head on his shoulder. We're all okay now. That's all that matters. We're alive. I speak up. Ellie then wipes her eyes with her jacket sleeves. I didn't even notice the tears in her eyes. It wasn't my first time, she speaks up. Joel looks at her a moment and then at me. I was a bit shocked like he was, but I give him a nod. I knew she could handle herself, but now, so does he. He takes out the pistol he took from her and looks at it. Okay. He takes the pistol he took from her and looks at it for a moment before looking back at her. He cocked the gun, the shell coming out of the chamber. Then he stood up, letting go of my hand to kneel in front of her. "Show me your grip," he says as he hands her the pistol, and Ellie shows him how she holds it. "Finger off the trigger." "Now who taught you that?" he asks her. "Fedra school," she replies. "Figures," he says as I chuckle softly watching them. He then starts to show her how to actually hold it. Your thumb over your thumb. Left hand squeezes down on the right. Got it? He tells her as she nods in response. There you go. Look it. He says as he tries to rip the gun away from her, but with no luck. I watch as Ellie smiles and chuckles softly when he tries. It was a good sight to see the two of them like this. It made me feel a little happy, like Joel was getting a bit soft. He then gives her a soft nod. Okay. He then he Okay, he asks as she nods in return. He then takes it back from her, putting the magazine back into the gun, then handing it back to her. She goes to put it at her side. Nuh-uh, you put it in your pack, Joel tells her as she gives him a really look. You'll shoot your damn ass off, he says as he then stood back up, going over to the door and removing the wood nailed to it. I then smirk as I noticed Ellie putting the pistol in the pocket of her jacket. I of course didn't say anything because I knew she was capable. She just has to prove that to him is all. I then slowly stood up to come over to the door with Joel and Ellie. I put on my pack carefully, as Ellie does the same. Joel then looks to the two of us. We'll get through this, he tells us both as we nod in response. He then opened the door, and the three of us go out. And that is all the chapters I have. Thoughts, Pookie? A good place to end. Doesn't necessarily leave you on a cliffhanger. I don't have much of chapter 13 written just yet, but it'll come probably tomorrow. It's done 10 o'clock, it's almost my bedtime. On what part? It's yeah, RAE, that's right. Yeah, she got shot. Mhm. Since she was still sitting in the truck, a bullet ended up piercing her shoulder through the back window. Is what happened. Yeah, it does. It shows that she's not invincible. It shows that she can also get hurt and things can happen to her as well. Yeah. Oh, but Pookie. Oh, but Pookie. you're you're not ready for what I already have planned for the winter section. You're not ready for that. I already have that part planned out how I want it. I just have to get them through Kansas City, and then through Jackson. But I already have a plan for that part. I already have a plan. But yeah. So that is chapters 1 through 12 of The Woman He Always Had. If you want to go read this book yourself, you can go read it on AO3. My name on there is Beanie Bailey also. And if you want to read this on Wattpad, well, you can see my name down there. It's fanfic_writer10. So if you want to read the book for yourself, you are more than welcome to do so. And I also have a Mandalorian one on there as well, which I'm going to also get back to, hopefully. I hope so. Now that I've gotten encouraged to write this one some more, I do hope to get back to the Mando story as well. But anyway, guys, I thank you all so much for watching and reading with me, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye-bye!